This is part three of our campaign of Heirs to Heresy, the Fall of the Knights Templar. Let's talk about what happened last session as our three Knights Templar, entrusted with a mysterious box locked in heavy chains, escaped from the Paris stronghold and onto the pre-dawn streets. They had little time to discuss their next moves. Some made efforts to disguise or otherwise remove their Templar insignia before a patrol of guards forced them to go on the move. Winding through the Paris streets, they deliberated how they would approach escaping the city. They decided that they would go to Elias's family's old house slash keep that has stood vacant for some years, but it was outside the walls. So while navigating, the decision was made that Estevao would find a way to sneak outside the city walls and go to the Bowman's place and maybe get some rope and some other equipment to help the others scale across the wall in the dead of night so as to help avoid the patrols. Indeed, he managed to do so by sneaking into a cart of stuff that was just being ferried out by some peasant. And though the peasant acknowledged that he was there and was quite nervous, they did manage to pass through the city gates unmolested by the guards. And outside, Estevao found himself to the Bowman's Keep. Inside the city walls, Torben and Elias decided to lay low at a local church, keeping a very low profile and avoiding the ire of Catholics and French forces alike. They had some discussions about Elias's pride. And once night fell, they reconvened by the city walls at the chosen spot and waited for Estevao to throw the rope over. Unbeknownst to them, prior to his arrival at this rendezvous point, Estevao's visit to the Bowman's mansion was almost compromised by the arrival of various armed soldiers of the French Guard, French soldiers, that kind of thing. Though while hiding, Estevao did overhear some of these knights or these soldiers speaking, and curiously, though they wore the French liveries, they spoke German and were very clearly foreigners. But he managed to escape with his necessary supplies. And as they were climbing over the city wall, they were caught by a patrol of guards who began to raise the alarm, but thankfully they were able to get over the wall, drop the rope, and vanish into the sprawl of the darkened streets. And then they found themselves at the mansion together, talking about their next moves, talking about what might come in the following day, their quest to take this box all the way to Lisbon in Portugal, before ultimately they decided to open the chest to see what was so important to the Templar Order, what the French were willing to kill for. And after removing the chains and opening the box, inside was nothing more than a humble, old, worn, and very battered clay cup, to which Torben remarked, "Oh, good, a cup." And that is where we left off. But before we resume that scene, there's another scene I wish to convey to the listeners. We open on the darkened, near lightless interior of some stone cell, dismal and light straw scattered across its cold base. Huddled in the shadows, we see the Grand Master of the Templar Order, Jacques de Molay, alive, battered, wounded. We see his leg that was crushed beneath a timber, wrapped now, but blood does soak through. His hair hangs in long, sweaty strands. He is covered in bruises. And when last we saw him, the tunic with the red cross of the Templars that he wore was so covered in blood, you could not discern the details. He is now stripped only to simple plain clothes, shirt and breeches that are similarly bloodstained, though this time it seems to be more of his than the other guys. And he's praying in the cell quietly to himself with it between ragged breaths. We hear footsteps approach, heavy, armored footsteps. And in the torchlight, a figure stands silhouetted on the other side of the bars, looking in to Desmoulins. A voice speaks out, accented in German. You look tired, old man. Desmoulins does not address the figure. He pauses for a moment, but then continues his prayer quietly to himself. The figure continues to speak. All this grandeur, this training, this purpose. And yet your order fell before sunrise. This gets Desmoulins to glance slightly up. We see his eyes catching the flickering torchlight from outside the cell, hardened, but still razor sharp. And he does mutter, I imagine in some small part to you. Well, the other soldier says, you know the old saying, if you want something done, and Desmoulins finishes the sentence for him, don't send the French. This causes the shadowed German knight on the other side to snicker. He says, quite. Yes, indeed, your majesty, his majesty, I should say, was smart enough to understand that. He opens the door to the cell and steps inside. And we see that he is armored in a way very similar to the Templars we have seen, though his white tunic does not bear the red cross. Instead, it is a stark black cross. And he glances down at Desmoulins and just says, where is it? Desmoulins spits blood on the knight's white tunic, prompting no response from his facial expression. But this other knight backhands Desmoulins across the face hard, the metal of his gauntlets definitely cracking a tooth or two. And then he hoists him by the lapels and slams him against the stone wall. Desmoulins groans out in pain. And we see now the harsh features of this German knight gritting his teeth, eyes cold yet determined, and just says, where is it? And now we cut to the open box with the cup inside and our 3 Templars looking over it.
Is this a joke? A jest? A game?
Well, if it's a game, then certainly we're not yet privy to all of the pieces. You do know what this is, don't you?
A cup?
Did you sleep through every single lesson we ever had?
Not every lesson.
Well, this one apparently.
That's ridiculous.
What's ridiculous is that the Grandmaster managed to keep this secret as long as he had. Though, in hindsight and upon reflection, I suppose, if that is why the keep was attacked, they didn't keep it secret enough.
No. It is still in the hands of the faithful, and it will make its way to Lisbon, as we said we would.
This cannot be. Look at it.
Were you expecting jewels and finery?
Yes.
He was a carpenter. Having
He
a
didn't
meal
make
with some
it.
friends. And as far as I know, none of his disciples were jewelers. He rode into the city on an ass.
If it's what you say it is. This. How do we know we're bringing it somewhere safe?
Because we were ordered to do it by the Grand Master himself.
And our temple fell.
Yes, and we have no more information than just worries. If God wants this to go to Lisbon, then it will be safe in Lisbon. It is no use worrying about some situation that we do not know anything about.
Do you know of a better suggestion? Someplace to bring it, Torben?
We bury
Yes,
it.
Torben. Do you know better than the Grand Master? We bury it.
And if we find Lisbon is safe, we send a larger contingent back to get it. If
That
this
was
is
not-
what it is, 3 of us across the continent. We can't keep it safe.
We will if God wills it. Are you of so little faith that you must invent problems we haven't encountered?
I am preparing for problems that may come.
And we shall deal with them when they do. We have made it out so far. We will not bury this. And he gestures at it reverently.
Make no mistake, I'm fine burying it somewhere, just not in France. Get a little closer to Portugal, maybe Spain. There I could see storing it somewhere for safekeeping, finding people to recover it, and checking on the safety of Lisbon. All of that I agree with.
Fine.
I do not see how it is safer in the ground than it is with 3 trained Templars.
And how many trained Templars were killed yesterday?
Well, we will be prepared. How many treasures were dug up from the ground?
Might still be going through them. For all we know, there were other treasures. If we didn't know about this one, who's to say what else is in that keep?
We were given an order, a
We were.
direct order from the Grand Master.
Who is dead?
Be that as it may, he will be in heaven with our God, where I hope we may all go to meet him. I shall not tell him that it took us a day to question and disobey his orders.
Very well.
God will keep us. Do not waver in your faith now.
When do we leave?
Now, I would hope. There's nothing for us here. We've had our sleep and shelter, but it's not safe here. How soon can you be ready?
I'm ready.
Let us go then. But if we are going to Spain first, if that pleases the both of you, then perhaps we should try to find a general path we would wish to take. We are safe here for now, and I suppose it would do well to be as prepared as we might be.
Are you suggesting we find a map?
I'm certain they didn't take the maps.
We're not breaking back into the keep. We would need to find
No,
somebody
my
else's.
my family probably had some. I can check if they were taken.
How long has this place been unoccupied?
Not that long.
Well, certainly, I suppose it wouldn't hurt to spend a couple hours looking around, seeing if there's anything worth finding or taking.
Or drinking.
Oh, you're welcome to explore the cellars. My family kept quite a good ones if they didn't take that. Oh, I suppose they wouldn't sell them.
Monsieur
Feel free
Novell,
to
I
look
think.
around.
Monsieur Novell, I think would like a little tour of the space, so I'll see what I can find. And yeah, we'll go take a little walkabout.
Monsieur Neville meows. And I think this meow is accompanied by the groan of hunger from your stomachs. Perhaps you actually now have a moment to realize that in the activities of yesterday, none of you have eaten. It is certainly not bordering on starvation, but you can begin to feel the knots in your stomach. Something to think about. Esteval, you begin to walk around the house with your cat. Elias, you go in search of maps, should your family still have them in their possession. And Torben, it sounds like you're paying a visit to the Bowman's wine cellars in the hopes of finding a drink. Splendid. I will ask first, by the way, that if it is indeed the following morning, I imagine it's before dawn, a couple of questions. First of all, for Torben, I know on your character details, you had included that Torben experiences vivid nightmares. And I was wondering if you had any thoughts on what sort of nightmares plagued him during the little rest he managed to get this evening or the previous evening.
I think it was the faces of the other Templars that he doesn't know what became of them, whether they're alive, whether they've been captured, whether they escaped like these three did. But in his dreams, they are accusing him of failing them.
Elias, as you walk the dusty, dark, and mostly unfurnished corridors and rooms of your old family's home, or your family's old home, I should say, I have some questions for you. What is your fondest memory from this household? And what memory have you tried to forget?
Yeah, I think sort of as we see him walk, and I'm taking the box, by the way, with me. So someone is on it at all times. I'm not leaving it just random there. But I think as he's sort of walking, um, going through these halls, we hear like the laughter of children. Um, and as he looks back to like that dining room that is now empty, we see a young Elia, and next to him is like a little girl who's like younger than him. She has slightly darker hair, green eyes, and she's like sort of like drawing something with ash on the table. And next to that girl is another girl who looks much more like him, like the same blue eyes, blonde hair. Um, and we see his mom, like a woman older, clearly his mother, and she's like, "Ah, I don't know, Justine. it's just not proper for a girl to go alone. And she goes, but mom, I want to go, I want to go, I want to go. And she's sort of, doing that, like that childish thing. And then she turns her eyes to Elia, like these big puppy dog eyes. And he goes like, I'll go with her, mom. And he like very much like sort of proclaims it like a hero. And the mom sighs and goes, all right, well, if Elia goes with you, you make sure nothing happens to your sisters, okay? And he nods, and we see sort of from there, it seems to be like a local like festival kind of thing. And he's very much like there as their chaperone as the two girls are like looking at all the stalls and he buys them flowers and a little trinket. And just we see like a little montage of just this really happy, fun day and him feeling very much like their protector, like the big brother keeping them both safe. Um, I think a memory that he wished to forget. I think it's as he sort of continues walking, we walk past what looks to be like a study, and we flash back to like a dark and stormy night. The rain is like crashing against the windows. And Elia says, but I don't want to go, Father. I want to stay. If something is going to happen, then why don't we just leave Paris? Why don't we just go? And his father says, this house, there are more secrets here than you know. It cannot be left. It must be protected. But you can still do something important here. Now he said, I don't want to be a Knight Templar, Father. I want to stay with you and Catherine and Justine. I want to be here. Says, no. No, you no longer belong here. And we see that this just like completely hits the wrong like note in Elia. And we can see that the father almost like as soon as he says it, there's like, shit. Like he lost control of this situation. And we don't hear like the rest of the conversation, but we see like a big fight. This really, really big, messy fight where they both kind of lose control of it and their emotions and just start screaming and they're kind of talking about two things at once. And it leaves with Elia slamming the door, grabbing his stuff. The two girls, a little older now, but still younger than him, are crying at the door, begging him to stay. But he leaves. And that's the night that he joins the Templars. And the last time he saw his family.
We focus on Torben now as you find your way to a door that descends into the wine cellar. It is not a sprawling, expansive place. Honestly, the storage cellars of the Paris stronghold were understandably like very large, but there is still a sense of like well-stocked history to this place. Like there is efficient use of the space. You can see looking around the dusty, empty alcoves for bottles. Old wooden casks stand stacked against a wall, though the air is tinged with the tang of vinegar. You can see cobwebs hanging in the corners between stone. What do you do, Torben?
I think hopefully further away from the door, if there's anything that might have been protected from the elements or maybe otherwise skipped over, he's going to want to try and get as deep into the cellar as he can.
Yeah. When you say something that may have been skipped over, what do you have in mind?
Who knows? What maybe if they did have valuable wines or such, those could have been looted.
True. And indeed, given that some of the shelves here are broken, it gives the impression that this place was thoroughly picked apart. Though still, you walk across the stonework, stepping over some like discarded bits of old wood from a broken shelf. And I think your eyes do land on a cask, one of like the larger, like stout casks that are kind of like a permanent fixture against the walls. It sits awkwardly and does not seem to have like be like the way that like the alcove that these barrels are set into, like usually this one just kind of like stands out. It's one of the few things in here that looks like an inefficient use of space. Like you kind of clock as that as like it's more obstructive than considerate of the very organized kind of way you imagine this place was kept when it was in use.
Going to take a closer look at it.
It's slightly crooked, like it was shifted, perhaps. Although looking at the paved stones, though it has been a little time, not lengthy, as Elias explained, and there is dust in here. There are still distinctly the remnants that your keen eyes can spot of scrape marks that give you the impression that this barrel was this like heavier, like larger barrel was dragged and put in this spot from another part of the cellar.
Gonna try dragging it off, see if it's covering something.
You are a fucking strong man. It's really no chore for you. As you pull the cask away, suddenly a couple of like rats like just begin to squeak and like scatter out into the darkness, having had their little domicile disturbed. As you pull it away, you're not sure what you were expecting, but there is kind of just like a wall behind there, but it's not a plain wall. There is like a little niche in here. It reminds you of like similar relief shrines that a lot of Christian churches tend to have, of just like a little like scene, like little like stonework just set into the wall there. Maybe they lit candles here. It's literally like just like a little mini niche alcove, and there is like carved into the stonework over it is something in Latin. Does Torben understand Latin? I know that he's a Catholic, so it's probably very likely, but I'm wondering based on his training.
Probably.
Yeah, it says usque ad Avallonis, which translates to until Avalon.
I don't know if that would mean anything to Torben.
Mm-hmm. You just know the translation, yeah. You just don't know what it means.
But Esteval might.
Okay.
So
speaking of,
go and try and find him.
Yes, in the hallways that you're taking Monsieur Nivelle through a little tour. What is well, actually, here, let me set the scene a little bit more because before I ask. Even in a unlit, vacant stone keep such as this, you can feel the temperature of the weather. Overnight, the humidity swelled over Paris. Kind of like an unseasonable but still not unlikely mid-October heat just descended over the city, and thick storm clouds gathered, and it is just like hot and humid, and you can hear the patter of rain against the stone and the glass of the old windows outside. So with this in mind, tell us a little bit about what your tour for the cat is like, mostly where you're focusing on.
I think since it's kind of the first time we've seen Esteval not in like a panic mode, he's humming to himself. Mostly because that's one of his appearances and quirks. But we also have that those lovely videos of Templars chanting in the rain, and I think Esteval would be one of those people in a different situation. But I think there's something about the rain specifically that just like puts his mind to um, music, and so he is humming a Templar chant to himself, but kind of in the way one does when they're in the shower. Um, but yeah, he's and it's how he keeps his mind uh out of dark places, because that's really easy to go to here. But also it's a way to know that he's nearby. Uh, so yeah, he's just kind of like poking around areas, and if there are windows, he might gently try to ease one open. But we have to be careful about that because we don't want people knowing that we're here. But we do need light to see by.
Yeah, I
And so I
think
think
as
that's where you'll find it.
begin to like fiddle with the latch on one of the windows you found in this house that actually seems designed to open for fresh air, you kind of have to wiggle a little bit, and as you kind of like push it out of the frame slightly, or out of the lock, you kind of like feel a bit of the outer air rush in, still carrying that scent of rain and the humidity with it. You have to like pause for a moment because glancing outside the window, you actually see that there is like you know a patrol of guards that are just like passing by on an adjacent street. None that seem to be giving this house any regard, but you can just see them, and the proximity has a bit of weight to it. But otherwise, the window, you're delicate and just getting it open enough for light and fresh air to circulate throughout the room. Monsieur Novell pads over and hops onto the stone windowsill, tail swishing side to side. And what color are his eyes, by the way?
He would be a cat named Toothless, which I think means there's that Halloween yellow.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. They just look at you before they turn and just like glance outside the window.
Do you see something? We'll head over and take a look at what he's looking at.
You
Oh,
follow his gaze, although it's hard to say where a cat is looking. His eyes don't look down or like to an adjoining rooftop. They just look up, as if he's looking at the sky, or perhaps the way a cat perceives rain falling.
well, don't get too attached. I don't think we'll be here very long.
I think on
Though,
that, oh, go ahead.
though, if you do, I imagine the bowman would be very happy to know that you are here to cleanse the corridors of any rodents and other vermin.
I think that you hear heavy footfalls in an adjoining corridor as Torben comes looking for you.
Esteval,
I'm in here.
did you find anything?
I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting to find anything. Places like this reclaimed by the crown are basically shells.
Yes.
I would have probably liked to have seen a book or two, but I can't imagine any that would be left behind to be worth reading, anyways.
I found something.
What did you find?
I'll show you. Start leading the way.
You have to make it sound so ominous.
Yes.
Now checking in with Elias, you find yourself in one of the most furnished rooms in the household, though that implies more grandeur than is actually present. It is a lot of just simple cupboards and cabinets and things that have been taken from other rooms of the house and discarded here. This is an older room, perhaps a study, of your family, now rendered mere discarded storage. Just tarpaulins are draped across things, dust coats and gathers. You can hear the small pitter patter of a leak in the roof that is causing the rain to come in and pool, causing just like this spot of wet rot and damage against the boards. Another question I have for you, this one can be a bit more brief, is why were you never allowed in this room? Or at least why were you told?
Yeah. I think it was one of those things where father was always like, one day when you're older, like it was always understood that this allowance was because I needed to be told something important, a secret that could not be trusted with me until I had proven myself somehow or just grown a little bit older. But then the Knight Templars happened and I never got in.
Looking around, rifling through these old possessions, I think you can find a map pretty easily, or at least something that is serviceable enough as a map. There are, and it's like not comprehensive, sprawling, well detailed maps. It is like, this is a map of Paris. This is a map of France, but even the France, it's very rudimentary. It just shows, the rivers and forest, mountains, a couple, Paris, couple other places like of significance. It's very sparse. Get a little bit of like a map of Europe. Pretty simplistic, nothing detailed, but serviceable supplies to at least know the geography, though not necessarily meant for not meant for travel, not meant for specific directions, more just kind of a geographical approximation. It seems that any detailed in like high quality maps and stuff and like parchments would have been turned over to some, taken by the French or given to some other institution. Who's to say?
Yeah. I think being in this room, Elias's face, especially like after that last memory, and then being in this room that was like in his mind, having never been in here, it was always like the grandest room in the house, right? Like it was sort of the forbidden fruit. And seeing it now in like this disarray, and also sort of coming like down from having that little bit of rest, having yet another fight with the other two. I think we just see him like put the box down and just slump into a chair, cover his face with his hands for a moment as if he's, going to cry. Although he doesn't. He's like sort of breathes in sharply a few times and takes it back and he just says, "I'm sorry, Father. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." And he just repeats that over and over. And then just he suddenly like when it starts to look like his voice starts cracking, he gets up like very abruptly and he's going to I imagine there's like broken glass and like debris and shit over here. Yeah, he sort of like sweeps it up, um, will kneel in the broken glass and will start praying. Mostly for Torben and Estevao's soul. And like this sounds passive aggressive, but it's like genuinely in that Christian way where I'm like, I care so much about you. I am going to pray that God keeps you and forgives you because I know you're just scared, like sort of that way where I'm going to spend my time with God praying about your goodness, and he just starts doing that to sort of get that control back for a moment.
Sure. Torben, a question for you, by the way. Did you pray when you awoke this morning?
Were they nearby?
Were the others nearby?
Yes, sorry, yeah.
I mean, probably.
Then yes.
Okay, then you retain your faith point. Good to know. I was just reminded by that description. So down in the cellar again, Esteval, Torben shows you what he found down here. The little like alcove niche, the stone carving of a scene and the inscription Usque ad Avalonis.
That is a shrine.
Till Avalon.
What's an
Interesting.
Avalon?
Court of King Arthur?
Oh.
Oh, I might be a little remiss in my history. I'm not sure if Arthur was a Templar. Although perhaps an honorary one or an ally. Maybe it's more of a. Oh, of course. It must have been an ally to the Beaumont.
But why would they keep a shrine?
Rich people things? I don't know.
Now, with
They were.
your, oh, I'll just say this real quick. Just knowing your intellect and your history score, Esteval, I will give you this information. You're probably in some part familiar, as we've established here, with like the scatterings of the Arthurian legends that have been written about. And here's the fun detail, right? Is like ostensibly, King Arthur greatly predates the founding of the Templars by like I think
course, yeah.
almost like 500 years, or just, somewhere like in that range of just like centuries predates him. Although I have a question for you to determine if I give you this detail. Is Esteval the type who has read and like kind of remembers like dates of when things were published? Like, is that one of the things he cares about, or is he more about like the information in the books?
Oh, that's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he cares about them. I think a lot of his education was because this was well before the printing press, and so I
Mm-hmm.
think Esteval spent a lot of time actually like scribing and rescribing a lot of his
Mm-hmm.
books. So I mean, he would have encountered those things because he would have had to write them, but is that something he cares about?
Or at least would remember.
Yeah, I think that would be fair to say. Yeah.
Okay. Then it is certainly an interesting thing to clock that, and this is true, by the way, the vast uptick in the written Arthurian legends that exist in your age. There was a real lot of momentum with them in the decades after the Templar Order was founded in the like I think it was like 1120. Let me double check that timeline though. But yeah, like in the chronology, like Arthurian legends, like over the last, you know, 200 years, 150 or something like that, there's been like a more of an uptick. So it makes sense for it to be like fresher in your mind, but they're a lot more common of them ever since the Templars were founded.
Well, I should know. I rewrote one or two.
Yeah,
of them. Yeah.
indeed.
I had to translate one or two into French. So, horrible memories for Esteval, but more pertinent to the situation. And if out of character, correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of Arthurian legends dealt with things like the Grail.
Mm-hmm.
Or
a few of them, yeah.
For the Grail.
Yeah, a few of them feature the quest of the Grail.
So again, curious and interesting, but I suspect this has more to do with the Beaumont's association with the king than any Templar association. Elia don't know much about them, but it didn't sound like their participation in the order was precisely willing or enthusiastic, I suppose.
I admit I don't know much about King Arthur. But don't many of his stories involve the Grail?
Some, yes. It's not uncommon.
And it's just coincidence that someone with an Avalonian shrine in their basement joins the Templars and walks away with a box containing the purported Grail.
You and I would call it coincidence. I think Elia would have a different word for it. This whole time, I think Estevao has been like doing the let's search for hidden doors kind of thing, just poking and prodding and uh getting the fingers all up in any kind of nooks, crevices, crannies of this little shrine. Uh, I'm not sure how prominent secret doors tend to feature in this vision of Templars architecture, but considering that was literally in the tutorial, I think it's not out of the question. Um,
I'm into it. I'm definitely into it. Although I definitely want Jazzy's perspective here because I described the inscription and I described this thing in brief. But Jazzy, what do you envision the like stonework depiction actually is? Because I left it brief. I just said it was some kind of like scene or feature within like carved in stone in this little alcove shrine thing. But what does it actually show on it? Like, is it a scene of nature or is it like a scene from a legend? I don't know. I'm entirely open to however you want to interpret it because I know the Bowman connection. I know where you got the name from.
Yeah.
I know where you got the name from. So I'm like, I'm not sure if it's that or if it's something different, but I'm curious for your ideas.
Yeah. I think, hmm. I think it is distinctly what people now would call pagan. Like it's definitely not like Christian, Like if we had seen it as Knight Templars, we would have absolutely been like, those are pagans, that's not allowed. So it's very weird to see it in this house. But I think it is a depiction of, because I think it would be really interesting if it's Holy Grail related. But I don't want it to be the Grail itself. Like I think that's too obvious. So I think what it is um it seems to be a chapel, but like sort of this mix between like a Christian and a pagan chapel. And there seems to be like what you might like this is like I imagine damaged and everything, so it's like hard to see. It's fragmented. It's like not beautiful and pristine, but it seems like there might be like angels or some kind of deities descending or flying from it. So I think like as a player, I think it's sort of depicting the scene when Galahad finds the Holy Grail and he gets like descended up into heaven, but it's like so damaged that it's like pretty hard to see what exactly it is. But it feels like both very Christian and very pagan in nature, like what one might even think is offensive to Christian sensibilities.
So Estevao, if you're looking for all the nooks and crannies and secret doors, where do your fingers tend to focus on with that scene in mind? Or are you just trying to like, pry it open?
uh, so if there are like pagan symbols or iconography, like that's I think where we would focus. Um, but Estevao's not an artist or
Mm-hmm.
architect, so um, but yeah, any symbols or depicted objects would be the first thing that he would sort of feel around. Um, Failing that, then go to like uh depictions of people. And kind of mutter to himself, if I have to rub the little butt of this person, I swear.
How much time would you devote to this task?
Until my stomach starts growling again, or until
Okay.
the conversation with Torben gets boring.
That's fair. That's very fair.
And that said, um, I might take a look back at Torben and go, I doubt there's anything left to eat in this place, but I don't think we can do God's work on an empty stomach. What are your thoughts?
He's going to look rather pointedly at the cat.
Well,
Well, I do think it might be a target rich environment. If you think you can catch a few rats, then
Oh, yes, rats.
then again, I highly doubt our companion will be as enthusiastic about that concept.
So we don't tell him what it is. Meat is meat.
But that said, I don't think it will be sustainable for very long, but it might get us at least through today.
And that's all it needs if we're hitting the road.
I think as this conversation is unfolding, Esteval, your hands are just moving over across the stonework, testing little things. And there is a moment where you notice something. You can feel it in your texture, though your brain does not necessarily clock it right away as to what it actually is. So you pass your fingers back over the one of the figures has like hands in prayer like this, and you can feel that the surface is slightly not like smooth like glass, but comparative to the other stonework, there is a bit more of like a wear there, like it's been touched many times, and you can exert a little force and you can feel give, and the hands click into the stonework of the niche, and you hear some sort of like latch mechanism release, and one side of the shrine like jolts, like kind of like just sticks out a little bit. Seems you've unlocked something.
So not just a shrine.
No, of course not. Using art and architecture to hide secret passages is a bit of a pastime, I would suppose. But, well, though I might need you to lend your strength. Now's the part where we try and get our hands around it and try and force it open the rest of the way. Find a hinge and then whatever's opposite that and pull or push as appropriate.
It really just like it is hefty, and so Torben was a good call here. But as you pull back the little shrine, it does reveal behind it like a carved out tunnel, not of worked stone and like of bricks, truly just like an earthen shaft that just goes out and bends away, supported with wood and kind of cobwebs around. And there is a torch sconce on the immediate inside past the threshold, unlit, but there does sit in there a torch that could possibly be lit to light the way.
I was just thinking like, yeah, we'll need a source of light. There's no windows for that. So will we have something like that just in our kits?
You could probably strike.
Soldiers.
You probably like light a fire pretty easily. I think as you're getting that lit, it takes a moment. I'm going to spend 2 pursuit points, bring us down to 0. But as the torchlight flickers up and you can begin to see down the tunnel a little bit, you and Torben glancing deeper in, we hear footsteps on the stairs leading down to the cellar, and perhaps the two of you turn, expecting Elias to be checking on you, but instead you don't see Elias. You see an armored knight with a white tunic on which is a black cross, and hand on the hilt of a weapon, enters the room like with like caution and curiosity, like, and sees the two of you there. And the metal helm they wear obfuscates most of their face, but you catch like the glimpse of like a of like a slight scowl as the gloved hands tighten around the weapon. Meanwhile, upstairs, after you had finished sweeping the glass and praying for the souls of your companions, Elias, you began walking back, maps in hand, and you heard voices, and you can hear that entering the house are a contingent of soldiers. Let's take a break. So Torben and Esteval, this white-clad knight stands at the other side of the cellar, hand against his weapon, and you can see that like slight like scowl, and he mutters, and you can hear he's speaking in French, but it is accented in German. He says, "Well, what have we here? Rats scurrying in the dark." Now, could the two of you describe for me, just remind me what you are currently dressed in, like what you are wearing, because I want to know for sure what everybody put on when they awoke this morning and what they are wearing.
I imagine Torben's still wearing his Templar armor minus the white cloth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think old habits die hard. I think Esteval would be dressed in Templar garb and chainmail. But yeah, the white cloth we committed to hiding, so that is absent.
Mm-hmm.
But does Esteval have his crossbow with him? I think it might be more fun to say he doesn't.
I'm into that. I am into that. It's somewhere upstairs with the rest of the gear that everyone set down.
Yeah.
And I assume Elias is just in full armor as usual. Cool.
Oh,
but for,
fully Knight Templar.
yeah.
Please.
But for this
on.
moment, focusing on the cellar scene
Yeah.
for a bit. So yeah, the two of you are fully armored out. And this white clad knight says, "Soldiers, perhaps no, not soldiers. You don't have the bearing of French soldiers. What are you doing down here, little rats?"
I think while he's talking, Torben's just gonna reach down, grab a loose brick, and just whip it at him.
Oh, fuck yeah. I think we're going to have the basic test get triggered from this. Obviously, failure in this circumstance represents the opportunity. The combat is happening without the opportunity on your side. Like you don't get the surprise here. Which two attributes do you like? What attribute and skill? Because to me, it feels like, and you're welcome to contest this. It feels like quickness and might to me, like just kind of quick using it as like an attack, I should say. Not quite as like a range attack, but like using quickness and might feels correct to me. Instead of like a skill, like two attributes like combat stats do.
Sure, yeah, that makes sense.
Cool. Go ahead and roll. I guess this makes it a contested roll too, because it is a I'm going to give you. No, I'm not going to give you advantage because I think that honestly it's not that much of a jump, but I'll still roll. And he has 2d10 plus 2 because there's two of you in the scene. So, fuck it. I'm going to count Elias, even though he's in the scene, just not in this set. So yeah, 2d10 plus 3. And then you can roll as well.
2d10 plus 3 would be 16.
Well, it's might and quickness for you, so that should be a +5 for you. I was saying +3 on
Oh,
my end. Yeah, for
then
his roll,
that's
sorry.
18.
18. Yeah, you beat him. All right, so you just grab like a loose stone from the cellar and you like beam it at him. What is your goal list? Like what you want to have happen next after this disorients him and like catches him off guard? Like what are you hoping to have happen?
Exactly that. Stun him for a couple of seconds to close the distance with my more useful weapons.
Yeah, you throw this brick and it just slams against his helm. And like this like loud crack as he yells out and stumbles backward, like disoriented for a moment, caught off guard, and you just fucking rush forward. And let's just get combat kicked off here. Now I will let you guys know. Here's how I'm laying this out. I'll let you know what the zones are and how I see. Because so down here in the cellar is 2 zones, which is this, by this back shrine and the entry to the cellar by the stairs where Torben is currently. You're rushing from that to that zone. The lower floors of Bowman's house consist of a zone for the entry. The hallways in connective tissue all counts as one zone, and each of the separate rooms counts like a zone. So we're not going to be like specific, like this is the kitchen, but it's like just if there is like a room, it's a zone. If you want to go into a room, you're moving between zones. The stairs that go up to the upper floors are their own zone, and then the upper floors very simply is the hallways and the connective rooms, very similar. So Elias, I'll defer to you. Do you see the study that you were in being in upper floors or lower floors?
I think lower floors.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So then you're coming out. Then you're going to start in the hallways as a zone here on the lower floors, and you could hear that there were like like soldiers have entered. They are like poking around, like they are investigating. They are seeing like the supplies and shit you guys like left around. Just like maybe even like one of them is looking at Esteval's crossbow. But like they don't seem to be like on the hunt, so we'll talk more about that when we're looking at you. So that's the zones. Let's get the token set up for the initiative here. So I'm going to use same as last time. I'm going to use a light die to represent each of our Templar friends here. And the soldiers are a mob, so they only act reactively or if another mechanic triggers it. Now this knight has a quality known as Indomitable, which means he adds another token to the initiative. So I'm going to put this in the bag. So that is 3 player tokens and 2 enemy tokens. And if I draw a Templar token, I think it's got to be Torben right out of the gate. Like that's the one that makes sense because he closed the gap. Now, if it's not Torben, if it's an enemy, you've closed the gap. So it's just that he's able to like get his defense up right as you're there, as opposed to him, really bracing for you needing to like move across zones. So that makes sense. That work? Cool. All right, here I go. Drawing from the bag. That's a Templar token. So Torben, you get to act first. You get your 2 combat actions, which thank you, Jazzy, for adding the combat reference tab to our keeper here. And because of your successful basic test, you don't need to charge or move into the separate zone. You're already here, so you get to start afresh. What do you do?
I am going to try to rain down furious blows upon him.
Hell yeah. All right, make an attack test against his defense, which I'll let you know is 18.
That would be +5. That's 7.
7.
I rolled 2 ones.
Ah, alas. And remember, there are no critical fumbles, so at least there's that. How does this knight show a brutal front of counter offense? Like you disoriented, but like immediately, like ruthless. Like what do you see happening here that as you rush in and have your first attack awarded against?
I think that so Torben's approaching from the floor. This guy was on the stairs.
Yeah, let's say that he's like towards like the base of the stairs, so it's all counts as the same zone though.
Torben miscalculated how long this knight would be incapacitated for, and just as he's about to mount the stairs, just a brutal kick straight to the chest.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like it's right in a place that like is able to drive like the wind out of you to give you pause for a moment. Your defense is now 10 until the start of your next turn because of Furious Blows. What is your second action you'd like to take?
Gonna try just a regular melee attack.
Okay. Again, using which weapon are you using here, by the way?
This is going to be my mace.
Okay. So you recover from this winded strike to bring about the mace around on another more like engaged attack. Go ahead and make your attack test.
3, 8, 13, 18.
18 on the fucking money. Go ahead and roll damage.
That's 2d4 and 5 plus 3, 8. Or no,
8.
5 plus 6, 11.
11. Okay. I will let you know right now. He has armor 8. So he takes 3 of that damage. And so as you drive your mace into him, like not only like he's like heavily armored. Not only does, that take the brunt of it, you see a single-minded strength and dedication and toughness, a battle-hardened warrior, probably much like yourself, where like as you drive your mace into him, like grits his teeth, but like sets his stance and just takes the fucking hit. He knows what he's doing. You are engaged with somebody who is very capable and very efficient. So that's your 2. All right.
So I did get a 1 on my dice. I got a 1 and 4. And on a 1, I permanently reduced damage reduction by 1 with the mace.
Oh, wait, hold on. That's true. Hold on. Wait. On a you permanently reduce damage reduction by 1. Oh, that means you damage his armor. That's right, because it's a fucking mace. Yeah. So his armor is now 7. Yeah, I see a joke in the chat here for like dent face, but honestly, this is correct. I think like as you like, if you have a better idea, tell me. But I think it's almost like this second mace strike comes around and just like goes right for the spot that you hit with the brick to really drive it home of just like being like, clatter and just like the dent. And I think it does cause his like helmet to like, to clatter and fall off to the stones. So you can see the like the man beneath it, like very like, gruff chiseled jaw, has like a long kind of thicker mustache that like tails out towards the chin a little bit, and just like angry black eyebrows that are furrowed and set determined. I'm just really want to drive this home just for Jazzy for every single character description. But he scowls and grits his teeth. All right, that is you, sir. So good job to damaging his armor. I'm going to draw the next token from the bag as a black one. So that means it is this guy. It is this knight. And he's gonna first of all take the attack action. And your defense counts as 10 because you did furious blows. So he has a plus 10 to this. That is an 18 on the first one. Now, another feature that this knight has is the deadly quality, which means he takes 2 attacks per attack action. So that's 1 hit against Torben, and the other one is a 22 against Torben. So both of this guy's attacks hit. I'm going to roll damage for the first one, and then for the second one. And what's your armor's defense? What's the armor's defensive capability here?
That is, I don't have my shield, so it's 5.
Okay, 5. That is 15 damage, that's lowered to 10, which means you immediately hit your crippling blow threshold. And you must check a condition on the character sheet. You can pick any of them you want. It's not like a progressive descending order. They're stunned, bleeding, broken limb, and dying. All of them have their mechanics.
I'm gonna start with stunned.
Yeah, that checks out. And then pray that he rolls low on the second one. He didn't. Now this is going to drive you down to 0 because he takes, this is, math is not my friend. It's 13. No. 14. So let's talk about this because this happens really fast and it's terrifying as this man moves brutally. Although be thankful he didn't roll any criticals because of another feature he has. Now, let's talk about the mechanics about getting yourself dropped to 0. I believe you also have to check another box here because that was your crippling blow twice. And it's been a minute. I am trying to remember what happens when you drop to 0 in this game. Oh yeah, so anytime you're at 0 stamina, which again, because health is your stamina, if you take, so now you're at 0, if you take any more damage, it's just an automatic crippling blow you suffer. So go ahead and, yep, you're down to 0. And you've marked stunned twice. So let's read that out here.
I'm unconscious for 2d6 turns.
Okay. And gotcha. I will roll that. Actually, you go ahead and roll 2d6. I want your fate to be in your hands. Roll 2d6.
That is 2 and a double 1, which I don't know if that counts as winning or not.
Does not. I mean, hey, good for you. So it's only 2 rounds. But I do want you to narrate this because again, this is this guy's first action. He is brutal and he is deadly. How does he just utterly bring Torben down like that?
He has,
for the record, I should tell you what he's like wielding, just so I can double check. Just so you know, like reference, he I mentioned he had a sword, so that's what he has out. He has his sword. Yeah.
So he has the higher ground, and how does he down Torben without just killing him?
Yeah, I will say he's definitely brutal, but not necessarily, lethal. If it helps color this, it's almost like a retribution. It's almost like this like retributive, like, and down you go, like no, like submission.
You okay, Jesse?
No. I just astral projected to the void.
I think with a really smooth movement that would look great in some speed ramping, he kind of like tosses his sword up, grabs it by the pommel, reverse grip, and just smashes Torben in the face with the butt of his sword. And Torben falls backward off that first step and hits the ground hard.
And as Torben like hits the ground with a thud, this knight just glances down at him with a sneer before turning his attention to you, Esteval, all the way across the room. And he just says, "No. Last chance to surrender, or I take you out." And for his second action, he is going to prepare as he just sets his stance and holds his weapon, feeling its weight. He will give his next test, whatever it may be, advantage as he looks to you. And I'm going to draw a token. Hold on. Let me shuffle the bag. I'm going to say, though, that just because of that opening, I did draw his token again, but I'm going to swap it out for a Templar one because that narratively would not make sense because he's leaving it open to Esteval. So this is a white Templar token. Do we take Esteval's turn or Elias's turn?
I feel like it's Esteval because whatever Elias is doing is not as cool as this. But if we want to be like we want to sip, like let the tension die a little bit and give it a moment to think, that's also fine.
Uh, yeah, I feel like cinematically, like shifting up to the top would be fun, especially since we got a baller line from him.
Cool. So then we'll go over to Elias just to set the scene for you again, so you can know what you do as you are coming out of these hallways, and you can see that these French soldiers are picking through the place, picking through the remains of whatever you guys had like laid out of your supplies. Like I mentioned, Esteval's crossbow. They are on edge, but like like they're just kind of, it doesn't look like they're like actively searching. You get the impression that they don't know for certain what's going on here, and they do not hear what's happening downstairs yet. So effectively, you don't have active combatants like, you know, looking out like who goes there. You just see a lot of soldiers between you, and you don't necessarily know where your compatriots are. So what do you do?
When you say a lot, do you mean as in too many for you to reasonably fight
No,
without
they
a lot
count. They
of
count
them
as a
getting
mob. They
away,
count. They
or
count as a mob. Like
okay.
it's the same rules of like where like effectively the only reason we're in initiative dealing with a mob here is because there's a fearsome foe in the basement that they're dealing with. But effectively, it's the same deal as we saw back in the starting session, where it's like mobs can be cut through like tissue paper, and they only take actions if you fail attacks against them. So I don't know if you directly engage them in combat or if you had something else in mind, but effectively, you get the two actions here, and I will let you know that if you want to move between zones without, if you wanted to do it without being seen, if you're trying to like, you know, move efficiently, that will still trigger a basic test, but it will still be wrapped into like, oh, the move action you do, and which you could augment by like preparing, waiting for an opportunity and get yourself advantage, or you can just, I don't know, fucking do whatever you think Elias wants to do here.
Yeah, I think given the very emotional few days that he had, like seeing someone again sort of like picking through his home and not knowing where his friends are, and it's just, I think he will probably not admit this, but there is sort of that moment of I can just basically vent by killing these people because they will not stand against me, and it's been fucking awful, and I'm just, no, enough. You're not going home, and you're not doing this to my home again. Like, this is the only chance that he has had to protect his home, and he will absolutely take it. So he's just gonna kill all of these guys.
Okay, hell yeah.
Or
What
he
is
will
your?
try.
Oh, I love it. No, what is so then? Since you are in the hallways and going to want to move into the entry where this mob is, do you want to move, or do you want to like charge in? Because you have two options for moving between zones. One is one does give you an attack just with disadvantage if you charge.
Yeah, I think narratively he is charging. I think
Okay.
he sees these people and anger just kind of for a moment overtakes him and he's like, nope, absolutely not. Not today. Um, and I think he will say like in perfect French, you have taken enough from this house. And then
Oh,
I think
hell
like
yeah.
sort of they hear the voice and they see just like the sword and this like fully Knight Templar dressed man just charging at them. Let's see
I
how it
love it.
goes.
And just for the record, because the Templar characters here got into combat period, I'm adding a pursuit point to the tracker. Go ahead and roll. And you said you were using your sword.
Yes.
Is your shield equipped, by the way, or no?
Um, I I think narratively, no, that wouldn't have
Okay,
made
so you're
sense, I think.
using
Yeah.
this two-handed. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead and roll your melee attack with
Um,
disadvantage because you're charging.
yeah. Oh, dang it. That would have been a critical, but it's not. It's 13 plus 15 total.
15 total. Their defense is 16. Now, as a reminder, and typically, remember, like traditionally, this is meant to be done before rolls. You do have faith points to spend.
No, I think it is 16.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, 8 plus 5 is 13,
Yes.
plus 3 is 16.
So you do hit
Yes,
that.
sorry.
Okay.
Yes, I just can't do math. Yeah,
Hell
sorry.
yeah. That is 2d8 on your damage, plus an additional 3. So go ahead and roll that.
Okay. 2d8. That is 14 plus 3, 17.
17. Holy shit. And they have 10 armor. So, or not 10, they have 7 armor. So that just takes it down to like a flat 10. Oh my God. So you charge in like a fucking knight out of hell, and yelling, like you just begin just fucking carving through them. Are you killing them?
Yeah.
Go ahead and narrate a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think we see, they hear that voice and they immediately, of course, look at it in surprise and sort of seeing this vision, double surprise, because didn't we kill the Knight Templars? We did that, right? And I think the first one is sort of like doesn't even get his sword up and just flat out gets like a sword in his chest up the way, gets like sort of partially bisected as he falls to the ground. Others like sort of starting to scream, getting out of the way. But Elias is moving into that space, elbow to the face, and then sword like right through the eye. It's just like blood and gore. And I think there's like even one person who sort of like drops his sword in almost like this like divine retribution, fear of God moment where he's just like, what the fuck? And then immediately gets his throat cut and falls to the ground as some if there's like still some standing, they are now like
yeah,
getting,
there's still like a lot of them that are moving. I feel like we
they're
have some
like
that
starting
spread
to
out.
shout like formations and like trying to get a handle on this, but they're like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Just,
exactly. Like
yeah.
they're rushing around. Like there's still like a good like couple dozen of them like that you're just cutting through. Because you slew soldiers, that is an extra pursuit point. That it only factors for this one mob, so you don't need to worry about doing it. It's not going to be multiple from just killing off this one mob, but I'm just going to give you the point now. Well, that was one action. You get a second one. Are you just going to continue to attack?
Yeah, let me see what other actions we have.
Yeah, you got attack, or you can do furious blows for more damage, but it'll lower your defense.
I don't want to lower my defense because that's scary. Yeah, I guess I'll just do another attack.
Hell yeah. Love it.
That one would just be straight, right? No disadvantage?
Yeah, no disadvantage. Yep. Okay. Just an attack plus your melee attack modifier.
That's another 16.
Oh, fuck yeah. All right.
Then
Roll.
plus 3 plus 3.
Yep. And then roll your damage.
Oh, not as much this time. Only 15 damage. No, I can't do math. 11 damage. Apologies.
Okay, 11. And that was, you rolled it and then you added 3 to it, right?
Yeah, an 8 plus 3.
Gotcha. Okay. So with their armor, that reduces it down to 4. But still, like you get a couple more. And you got just soldiers like rushing you. And like now there's commotion down in the cellar, Esteval. You can hear like the shouting and the chaos. And let's see who acts next. Because if it is the knight again, he's not, going to just suddenly attack you because that's the opening that was made, but there will be other things he can do. And I drew a black. So it is him as his attention gets drawn to that. And I think he like grits under his teeth and says, idiots. And like levels his blade at you. He is going to still use one of his actions just to prepare, still just maintaining his sense of like he is ready to do whatever the second anything happens. And he is also going to, where did it go? Defend. So, wait, no, not defend. Ward off. So basically, he's like gives you the stance of like, don't you fucking move. Like, and because if you try to do anything, he will. Actually, no, that doesn't make sense. I'm going to rephrase that. He is actually going to cross zones. He's going to move as he enters your zone, as he walks away from the stairs, and where Torben's like unconscious form is slumped on at the base of the stairs. He approaches you, weapon raised and threatening, and he is going to then look at you and just say, "Is it really worth dying as a heretic?" And he's still doing the prepare thing of just giving his next test advantage. He's just leveling at you, which brings us to the last token draw, which is you, Esteval.
Yeah. I don't think Esteval has any like good little words of retort, but I think I see like Torben is down, but probably stirring a little bit, because it's only like a 2-turn knockout. So I just have to survive. So I will go ahead and attack him, because he's here and I kind of have to. So yeah, we'll start with an attack and see how it goes.
Okay. You will note that he didn't take a parry, which means, he is, because doing the parry action basically like lets all attacks coming at you have disadvantage. This is more like, his stance is open and being like, if you're going to do something, let's see what happens here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so all right, you're going to take an attack. He is in your zone. So what weapon are you using?
I don't think I think like everybody else, I think I'm gonna learn not to leave my shield behind, but that's a lesson for tomorrow's Esteval. So I think longsword, but since I don't have a shield, why not two-hand it? Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay, make the attack roll.
That ain't good. It's 7 on the dice. My melee attack is +5, so 12.
Yeah, as you bring in this attack, I mean, he like with his blade raised, like counters by stepping to the side and deflecting the blow and giving you like just a shoulder bump forward to stagger you backward, as his eyes are just level set and engaged in this sense of like, okay, so be it. What's your second action?
Parry. So Esteval will take do a little moulinet, a little windmill with the sword, and prepare to defend himself.
And I think he says in the conversational dialect has been French thus far, even though you're clearly like someone of Portuguese heritage. He does say, he like gives like this like light scoff and just says, "You think you are so worthy of the army of God." And let's reset the initiative bag. Let's shake it up. Actually, let me remove one for Torben since you're out. So, all right. Here we go. This one was not the one in my grasp, but as I was pulling the other one out, it jumped into my hand. So that's the one I'm going to say is the one that counts, because it literally leapt out of the bag. All right. Esteval or Elias, who goes first?
I'm defending, so let's say Elias.
All right, Elias, you good to go?
Okay. One more attack. See if I can just get rid of this mob. Double eights. So that is already a 16 and a crit. right?
Hell yeah. So yes, you're gonna hit, and then you'll roll, add the modifier, and double the damage.
Okay. Nice.
Holy, and mark an advance
Uh,
point because you rolled a critical.
yeah, I marked the advance point. What is my damage again?
If you're using a two-handed,
2d8.
2d8 plus 3, and then double that.
So it would be 12 double to 24.
Um, so they had 22 left in their stamina ranks, which means you literally, like one man, kill every soldier that was swarming you in your house. I do want to give you this moment of please, by all means, just narrate you taking out every last guard. And you did a little bit last time as well, where like some began to like flee. That is true.
Mhm.
You still get all of them down. Like you're gonna kill. Like you literally make sure none of these
Yeah,
soldiers leave Housebowman's ever again.
exactly. Yeah, I think we see him like sort of in the fight, even as like some are starting to be like, nope, absolutely not, reinforcements, whatever, and they start to run away. We see Elliot like kicks a broken chair, like he like kicks it up, it like flies up, grabs it mid-air, throws it, and we just see like threw them out as he just slumps in the doorway, and Elia is just like going, and I think we do see almost like this frenzied like um like almost like barbaric, like not rage, but like really this reverence of God, where he's almost like possessed, like taken over, where it feels like after all the helplessness and the grief that he has felt, this is God saying, you can protect your home. And he is just like mowing through these guys. Like some of them like get him, jump two of him. He just like bashes them off through the eyes, through the throat. And these are all like very precise and like gritted and just like every strike is a strike to murder. Like there is even the parries, they immediately get followed up by just a punch to the face, and we hear like a neck crack, and then he just stands there in the middle of the room, catching his breath, and there's just carnage. There's, like people slumped over the table, that one Kai with like his hand on the door, and we just see like a bloody handprint that's like going all the way down as Elia just stands there, sort of regaining himself.
And I think you could hear the clamor coming from below. Um, you have one action remaining. I'll let you know right now the way I envision it, and is that that the means of getting down into the cellar could be accessible through the hallway zone. So you would need to move into the hallway and then move from the hallway down into the cellar. So
Mhm.
if you can just use your move action if you want to begin heading that way, or if you want to do something else now from the actions list to set something up for your next turn, you can also do that.
I would like to grab um our the rest of our gear, like the shields and the crossbow. If I know
Oh,
that
okay.
if I realize that Esteban doesn't have his crossbow, I want to grab that. And like if accessible, one or two of our shields, because I imagine I can't carry them all, but
I'm going to count this as using a skill to
Mhm.
accomplish to attempt a task. Here's why I think we're going to do this as a test. I think it is the speed of making sure you grab everything and
Mhm.
enough to run down. Um, I think this looks like
Quickness awareness, maybe? To like sort of clock it quickly enough, like realize who needs what, grab it, get it. Like
yeah,
not spend any time like waffling.
I think quickness awareness makes sense. I'm going to say that this is a relatively trivial one, but I'm still just having it be a test because I mean, like the consequences here are pretty interesting if you don't manage to grab enough things to help people. So you just need a 12 or higher. And remember,
12
you
or
have faith
higher.
points to spend if you want to use those at any point.
Uh, sure. I will. Hmm. I don't know how. I'll worry about getting them back after the session. I will reroll or add my fate attribute. You know what? I think I'll add my fate attribute for sort of the narrative where
Okay.
again I'm like still kind of possessed by this frenzy as I just grab these tokens of God
All
and
right,
run
roll,
down.
spend the faith point, and that way you can roll your 2d10, and then this is, you said quickness and awareness, so 3
Yeah,
plus 3, so right, so that's 6 for a plus 6 total. Damn.
there we go.
Don't fuck up because it's only a 12.
No, I already got it with the dice. That's a 14 plus 6, so a 20.
Okay, yeah, fuck yeah. You literally grab all the gear that you need to, and then you're going to begin making sure that you rush down there. All right. And draw from the bag. I'm going to say a home rule that I'm down because it's not necessarily in the text, but I think it makes sense to me is if you get your token drawn on your turn, but you would rather like hold off, you just then need to pass it to an enemy token and then you'll go after them. I think that's a pretty simple rule. So that way, but I did draw a black token. So you are in a bad spot, Esteval, but you did parry, right? So his attacks against you have disadvantage.
Yes, but I think
And
the first one is normal because it's offset
yes,
because he prepared.
because he prepared. Yep, because he used his test. So he is going to roll flat. And I think he is going to use furious blows as he is going brutal. Now, note, furious blows does not proc his like deadly feature of like he gets to make 2 attacks. It's only if he takes just a base attack. He's going in for like a retribution, like all right, cool. And now he's laying it into you. So that makes his defense is now 10. And I will roll flat for him. And what's your defense, sir?
20.
Well, that's a 12. So as he goes in with just fucking fury, what does your defense look like as you're parrying and like withholding his assault?
I think Esteval's like the greatest defense is distance. And so like what Esteval was doing is basically leading him on a merry chase about this room and getting a fun little tour of all of the furniture moments before it gets shattered. So like I envision like a table of some kind that was just too big. It might have even been assembled there in the basement, too big to get up the stairs. And Esteval like puts it between him and this knight, and he just smashes through it. Esteval takes 2 more steps back, finds himself up against a wall, and he comes at him again. Esteval ducks under it, gives him a little like gut check, nothing that's going to get through his armor. But then finds himself 2 steps away again. And it's every time he comes, it's Esteval just takes 2 steps back, 2 steps back, 2 steps back.
Mm-hmm. And the assault continues. Now he's just going to do the base attack. So this is going to be 2 attacks against you, but these now have disadvantage. So that's fun. All right. That first one is a critical. Holy shit. Well, no, it's disadvantage, so he can't take the critical. Oh, fuck me. It still is going to hit because I rolled a 10, a 10, and a 1. But because of disadvantage, he has to take the 10 and the 1, which does bring him to 21. So it hits. It still hits you. But I'm going to roll that damage first. And it's not a critical, thank God, because he has a bad feature for that. Now that is, a lot of damage. And what's your damage resistance?
With just chainmail, I think it's 5.
Okay, with just chainmail, it's 5.
You can use fate
I
points
have
to.
none.
You have none.
Oh,
He
you
has no
have
faith
no.
points.
Okay.
Yeah.
Esteval is not faithful.
No, he is
See,
not.
that's what happens.
Listen,
That is. Ooh, that's bad. That is 19 taken down to 14 because
which
of your
is my
5.
maximum.
So you mark a crippling blow.
All right.
Do you want to be stunned, bleeding, or broken limb? Remember, any damage you now suffer at 0 stamina automatically inflicts another one.
Yeah, I think I'll go ahead and just take stunned for now.
Great. Got you. And he still gets a second attack. I'm going to roll for it. He has disadvantage, but if he hits, I'm not going to roll his damage because it's just going to automatically inflict another condition to you. And I'll let you narrate the scene here in a moment. So he has the 3, and that's more like it. So that doesn't hit. That's a 13. So he is going in hard and fast. Would you care to narrate how he routes you and still manages to land a pretty stunning blow to your defense?
Yeah, I mean, to like this combat, even though mechanically it's playing out as, turn based, I think Esteval is trying to get strikes in this whole time. And especially when he sees that, like, oh, he's leaving an opening, I think Esteval goes in for an attack. And I think he like catches Esteval like by the wrist, just like catches his sword arm, and we get that moment of the two of them like frozen in space there. And he just smashes his forehead up against Esteval's nose and sends Esteval back and reeling. And we see like Esteval just like blood just like coming down both sides of his nose from this new forehead wound as he got face checked.
There are 2 tokens left in this bag for this round. One is Esteval, one is this knight. The knight continues to push forward even harder. I think at first, right, like he has you pinned down and he's sneering at you and looks just he has the cold eyes of a killer. Like this man is going to kill you. He is going to, and he will not think twice about it. He does shout upstairs for his men to like stop dawdling and get down here, but there's only silence. And he grits his teeth. I think he just is going to like shove you down, seeing that you're already pretty stunned. He points a gauntleted finger at you and he says, I don't offer second chances, but if you want to keep drawing your foul breath, don't move. And he is going to move across the room, goes to the stairs, and shouts back up. And there's still like the silence that has fallen in the aftermath of Elias's absolute massacre up there. And perhaps there's like even like an edge of uncertainty, and his eyes flick over to Esteval and the unconscious Torben, and he just says, "Who else is here?" And I think he is going to, he like stands like at the ready by the door. He is looking between you and the door and the unconscious Torben as his hands tighten around his weapon. I think he is going to prepare. He's giving this time a moment to breathe. And that means it's Esteval's turn. You are stunned, and he told you not to fucking move. What do you do?
Well, so I only get one action, but then
Yes,
I
you do.
uncheck stunned.
Maybe. Hold on.
Start of turn, lose an action, then uncheck this condition.
Yes, that's correct.
That is
Yep.
what I read, yeah.
Yep.
So I only have one action. But yeah, I'm still just trying to survive. So I think even though his defense is 10, I could go for it. I shouldn't.
His defense is 10.
How much health does he have left?
I don't know.
I know I don't.
Do whatever you want.
Fuck it, we ball. I have one action. I'm gonna go for Furious Blows. Well, wait, no, I can't. He moved his own, so I
You
can't
can charge.
do Furious Blows.
You can
I can
charge.
charge.
It gives you disadvantage on the attack.
Ugh. Um, no, I think
You could prepare.
I could prepare. I could parry again as well.
True.
Knowing that he might come back at me after I stand up and you know wipe some of this pesky blood off my face, and I say, "You can't hear him, can you?" "Oh, I hear him loud and clear. It's God. God is with us. God is here in the room right now. He's abandoned you, hasn't he?"
That's fucking rad.
And then and then we're gonna do like the martial arts movie thing of just like take up an on guard stance, even though parry is the action I will
Sure,
take.
sure. I fucking love it. All right, Torben. Ears are ringing, vision swimming. You feel your face, slumped against the cold stone as the tinnitus is passing. You can begin to hear the environment kind of like narrow back into focus as you can uncheck the second stun box. You're still stunned one, but now I have the bag. Let's shuffle it up. 3 Templars. Things are not great right now for them. That's a knight. Who goes first?
Torben.
His defense is still 10. Wait, no.
No, because it
reset. Yeah.
It reset because he's indomitable and he got to go twice, so it reset.
Ah.
But you have one action, Torben. What do you want to do? Now, keep in mind, things like skills could come in handy in the sake of like, wrestling someone to the ground. Not that I'm trying to influence your decisions here. You also have a faith point to work with to influence your decisions. Just keep in mind that you're always welcome to try and get real tactical with what you want to have happen here, or like, to bring the situation in your favor. Because I don't think he's paying attention to the felled giant. His eyes are set between the silence from upstairs and Esteval, who is now just spouting pure blasphemy against this guy.
Yeah.
And an open secret passageway the other side of the room.
I mean, Torben's going to attack. He has to attack.
Hell yeah.
His defense is 10?
No, his defense, it was 10 because he did a furious blow earlier, but that reset. So his defense is back to 18.
Okay. Let's try and mace him.
Okay, that does lower his armor if you do hit. I'm going to say, by the way, I'm going to give you advantage on this specifically because he is not paying attention to you, because you were a downed enemy and you're getting back up, and he has his eyes set on that really fucking baller line Esteval threw out there. So you can get advantage on this.
All right, so 3d10. Okay, it's not the worst. 8 and 3 would be the highest, so that's 13.
8 and 3, so that's 11 plus your melee attack.
Sorry, yeah, 8 and 3. That's 11 plus my melee attack is 5, so 16.
Yeah, it does not hit him, unfortunately. So you go in to get the jump on him with your mace, but he's able to spin around and it throws him off of his it catches him unawares, but he's able to evade the strike nonetheless. And he almost looks at you with a sense of like awe of like, how the fuck are you still up? But then it's that look that maybe you've seen before of like, all right, well, gotta put the kicking beast down. All right, shuffle in the bag. It's another Templar. Is this Elias or Esteval? Oh, and to bring you up to speed, Jessica, you stepped away. Torben just stood up and tried to attack him. He failed, unfortunately. But they kind of like leapt the jump on him, and it distracted this knight from. It caught him briefly off guard, but the attack didn't really land. But you're upstairs, Esteval. Or sorry, Elias. You're upstairs, Esteval. You're here. Who's taking the token?
Do you want Elia to come down so he can defend you and throw a crossbow? Or do you think it makes more sense for Esteban to go first?
If I go, I'm probably gonna move and defend. Uh, so I wouldn't be getting an attack off, but it would keep Torben up a little bit longer. I'm just worried if he gets two actions in a row. Uh, yeah, that would be rough. On Torben, most likely.
Well, if he hits and you defend, you'll also go down.
Yeah, but
If I defend, I can tank some damage.
can you make it downstairs with all of your actions?
I
Or,
I think so. I look at Alex.
Sorry, what was that?
If can I make it downstairs with like a move and do another action, or would it just be like move, move?
It would be a move because you get the hallway and then down to the cellar zone.
Okay.
But you can do move charge.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be able to do a defend, so yeah,
that
has to go first. Okay.
All right,
yeah, I think
I'll go first.
So yeah, I think I'm gonna move because I'm in the far zone right now, so I'm gonna move into.
You're by the secret passage that you got revealed. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I might as well go ahead and charge because there's no reason not to attack.
Okay.
If there's
your attack just makes it with disadvantage. Yeah.
Yeah, but he can't retaliate off of that, right?
No, he can't. He's not a mob.
mob.
Only mobs can do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and charge.
Rushing forward, got blood coming down out of your nose, like you're bruised and fucked up, but your senses are realigning. You're not as stunned. Fuck yeah, go for the attack against him.
Yeah, disadvantage. So, oh, that's not fun at all. 6, 5, and 1. So 5 and 1 makes 6. But yeah, I wasn't planning on hitting anyways. 6 plus 5 is 11. Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunate. But I mean, like you do, like, you just like rush forward while he's like spun to engage with Torben, and you just like go in as well. So now the two of you are contending with him, and he's deflecting and taking and like taking a few steps back. And his eyes are on both of you. He's holding his own very competently, but he's like he doesn't get this like opening to immediately retaliate. He's just scowling. That the two of you won't just do the right godly thing and just die by his blade. And because you're no longer stunned, you get a second action.
Yeah, so I'm mildly concerned that if I parry, he'll just attack Torben. So I think I will go ahead and defend Torben.
Okay, so you will be able to
so I'll be taking all of his attacks.
Yep, that allows you to.
Now, just quick clarification, that means we're using my defense rating against his attacks, correct?
No, I think it's Torben's. I think it's the person you defend. Because I remember me saying that doesn't make sense, that it should be yours, but it isn't.
I'm fine getting a little fiddly with the rules because I think it does, because I mean, like, it's one of those situations where I want to approach depending on the fiction in a given sense. If your intention is like, I think it's a choice, right? Like if it's like I am intending to take every single hit, right? Like it's you're kind of like thrusting yourself into the battle no matter what. But if it's more of like a toss up where it's like, okay, I don't know, maybe I'll step in and take this blow at the last second, or maybe it'll, I don't know. It depends, So it's like, I'm willing to be flexible with this rule a little bit, because I agree with Jazzy where it was like, it doesn't quite make sense to me. So you want, but you can defend if you want.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and defend.
Okay. Back to the bag.
I only have to survive 4 attacks. It's no big deal.
That is black for the bad guy. He's going to parry, first of all. So all attacks against him have disadvantage. And he's going to attack twice. but he also has disadvantage. So that's how parry works. Is that all attacks against him have disadvantage, but his attacks have disadvantage because he's focused more on like the actual defense. That fits really fictionally with what's happening here. Like you two are going like in on against him, and he's like keeping his weapon up to block and hold his own, and he doesn't have any openings to work with, but he's still going to attempt it. So this first one will be against, I'll just do it in order of Torben and then Esteval. Disadvantage against Torben. That is a 20 to hit him. And that's a critical, even with, wait, no, because disadvantage isn't just the lowest, it's the worst option. So if the alternative was a critical, it just means that like, okay, well then he would take the higher result, but that's not a critical. So therefore he still hits, but it's not a critical. And your intention is to tank that blow, Esteval?
Yep.
All right, got you. Go ahead and mark another condition because you're at 0 stamina. Which one do you take?
Spend a faith point to not have to interrupt that?
Let me double check how the faith points work.
I don't think that's covered, but
I don't think it is. You can reduce the source of damage with it, but no, you cannot use it to like effectively have the attack not happen. But I mean,
not happen. If Torben can kind of jump in front of Esteval, jumping in front of Torben.
I'm going to say no, because that's not covered by faith points, but I like where your head's at. So Esteval, you'll get to leap in front of this. You get to take another condition. Which one do you want to mark?
Oh man. I'll take broken limb.
Okay. Which limb gets broken?
We'll say leg, because it's increasingly difficult to move zones.
I like the idea that he at some point, like when you kind of like throw yourself in there to take this blow and like lock up weapons against his. He manages to knock you to the ground at one point, and while he turns his body to engage back with Torben, he just slams his boot down into your leg, and you feel like the snapping of the bone as he then decides to go in to drive the sword, this time down into you, hoping to finish you off, actually. So he will make his attack with disadvantage. That is a hit. That's a 25 for him to hit. So you'll take, go ahead and mark another condition. You can take bleeding or stunned.
I mean, bleeding is too irreducible damage.
So it would force you to take a condition. So I recommend stunned.
Yeah, let's take stunned.
And in that case, I'm going to say that he doesn't like drive the weapon down towards you to like finish you off. He slams his foot on your leg. There's a snap of bone. You scream out in pain. And then he just drives a kick to your temple as you just your ears ring, your vision goes white, and he's now turning his attention back to Torben. And now we hope to God we draw a white, or else it's bad. Things are bad. It's Elias.
No TPK. Okay, fine.
Yeah, this is bad for y'all guys.
This is bad. I love it. This got bad so fast. First action is just fucking booking it with our gear. And then I think we sort of see Elia like run into this. I clock Esteval probably like holding to his leg or like leaning against something. Or maybe like I come sort of at the end tail of that blow. And with my next move, I would like to do a skill check to basically, I go like Torben Esteval, and I throw a shield and the crossbow and the shield to Esteval to gear them up and get maybe some attention on me.
Okay.
But mostly I want them to give extra protection and want to give Esteval his gear.
Okay, I love that. What are you thinking here? Because I could see this being, it sounds like the focus is more about drawing the attention to you, because I think tossing the gear, I don't want to have it just be like, oh, you miss and then it fucking lands elsewhere. I don't think that's interesting.
Boring, yeah.
I think it's like more narratively interesting, where it's like of you drawing like the attention to yourself, or if he just disregards you, because that's more interesting for Elias's character if he doesn't see you as a threat.
Yeah,
I would say that this is probably going to be and feel free to have a different idea. I was gonna say courage plus I was gonna say either like persuade, maybe, because you're just like,
Mhm.
or courage plus inspire.
Yeah,
Like
I
you're
kind of
because
like
it's like it.
inspire if it's not, because I don't think that he's like making a big speech or like pick on someone your own size or something like that. Like he's just rushing in, but I think it's inspired by almost like that, like just the charisma of someone new who this knight has an idea of just fucking killed everyone, right? Like he's splattered with blood. And
Mhm.
I think this knight is competent enough to put one and two together. Like, oh, he probably just murdered everyone and that's why it's so silent. And he's like dashing in, throwing this gear, standing there with his sword, like all heroic. And I feel like it's just this like, should I pay attention to you? Like that kind of vibe.
Okay, so I love that. Yeah, because you were, yeah, fucking go for it. I'll let you do this. Makes sense to me.
Okay. Good, because it's a high stat for me. Let's go.
Good. You need it.
Don't forget about defense.
Um, that is a 20 total.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even fucking set the.
Yeah.
I was gonna say like I was gonna have this be contested by this guy's presence. So it's just I don't think he's gonna beat it because it's 2d10 plus 3.
Well, he's been rolling.
Well,
It's been
it's
rolling
only a plus.
insane.
Well, he has a plus 10 to his attack.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's difficult. But no, yeah, he did this. His presence is dwarfed by yours. So yeah, I'm gonna say that because you succeeded, as you throw the gear out, he spins to see you and covered in blood. And I don't know, you just have your like weapon out, and his eyes go to you as like, okay, good, like another person to put down. He does not see these two as a
Mhm.
threat. He's because now that like that's about like rolling on the ground with a broken leg. I'm going to say though, because this was inspire based, and I like the way you set this up, is that I'm going to give Torben and Estevao advantage on their next tests, just because it is an inspiring thing. I mean, like your presence literally is like it's pretty rousing. I would imagine to have your allies show up on the scene like this and come to your aid. So I'll give the two of you advantage. I think that's a cool little bonus here. And now it's his turn because it's the last token in the bag. And with his attention on you, he is going to. I think I'm going to have him just go in with 2 attacks. Oh, no, he didn't move in. No, he didn't. No, this is all right here. So it's in the same zone. Yeah, shit's happening. This is a bunch of stuff going on. I'm going to have him attack you. What's your defense?
16.
It's a 19.
But I do have my shield with me
You
now.
do.
And I will
What's your damage reduction?
it's 7 now.
Okay, so I'm gonna let you know the damage total before you decide if you're gonna spend this last face point. Is
Okay.
total of 19, so lowered to 12
Okay, and I will lower that with another 3
by spending your last faith point.
by spending my last fate point.
Got you. Okay, so that comes down to you take 9, but this is still a crippling blow because it exceeds your crippling blow
Yeah.
threshold. So which one do you mark?
Sure, I'll also mark stunned. Although bleeding. Yeah, I'll take stunned.
Okay, good to know. Um, this is the first time we've had him engage where it's not absolutely decimating someone. Like it hurts and it's like it's intense, but Elias can hold your own. And I think knowing that this is about to go off into another round here, I'm going to say that he goes into his parry stance again. Like he realizes that he's on like a bit of the back foot, even though Torben's fucked up. One's on the ground. He's right here. His back now As I imagine there's been like a slow rotation of movement here. Like even though y'all are in the zone by the stairs at the front of the cellar, his back is now to the tunnel that was revealed at the far end of the cellar, almost as if to say, like, you don't fucking escape the easy way. So he just stands there. He's kind of like holding his blade at the ready and eyes set forward. So all attacks against him have disadvantage. However, he has a disadvantage on all of his attacks until well, it won't make any. Well, we'll see. Yeah. Anyway, until his next turn. So back in the bag. Now is a good time to think about what the fuck y'all want to do. All right. Bag, set, draw. It's him. Well, that's good though, because it means it wasted his parry. So like you would have to trigger it again to get the benefits of it. Because it's until the start of his next turn. So I'm gonna have him re-engage parry. Just because why not? And then fuck it. I want him to make a furious blow against Elias. Because also I want to throw you guys the fun of lowering his defense a little bit. But still, and he has disadvantage, but if he succeeds at hitting Elias, he will deal even more damage to you. All right. You're 16? You got a 15.
That's God's will, baby.
Mm-hmm. So as he comes in, like he just like lets out this almost a roar at this point as he goes to drive the blade down, and it is a narrow fucking miss. And there is a significant opening. There's a bit of exhaustion in this man's stature that won't last very long because it's a momentary gap in his opening. Okay, pray to God above, I do not draw his black token and render his furious blow not. It's a white token. Who goes next? His defense is 10, but all attacks against him have disadvantage. Remember, you can prepare.
We can't. We're all stunned.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You're all stunned.
I would say
Elias isn't stunned.
Yes, I am.
Oh, you are? Oh, that's
yeah,
right.
I would say let Torben go because he has a mace, so he can lower his defense. Because right now, there's almost no chance I'm gonna actually hit this guy and do damage. So we need to get that lower so we can actually start hitting him.
Also, you should you got up last time. Well, I believe you need to uncheck stunned. Because it was down for 2 rounds, and then
Torben's had 1 action, so 1 box is unchecked.
Yes.
But getting up would have been the first stun uncheck, wouldn't it?
Okay, so then at the end of this, I think you're stunned for 1 more, maybe? I'm trying to adjudicate how this works. It is specifically, if you're stunned, it's checked when you start your turn. You lose 1 of your 2 actions. Last time you went, you had unchecked it because you unchecked it automatically because the 2 rounds had passed. And I think your stun should be unchecked now because it was unchecked because the time had passed. But like, if stunned is checked when you start your turn and you only take 1 action, then you uncheck it. So you actually have 2 actions, Torben.
Oh, okay, cool.
I think that makes sense to me. That's my reading of the rule here.
I'll take it. Yeah. In which case, I will. Yeah, prepare. And I think Torben's face is busted, just like a mask of blood. His nose is at an uncomfortable angle. His eyebrows are split, or at least one of them split, and he just takes that shield that was tossed at him and readies his mace and kind of does a couple of test swings, and then he just lumbers forward, murder in his eyes. So with advantage on a
Now it's mitigated because you have disadvantage because he was parrying. So it is flat
It'll be
roll.
flat. Yep.
Mhm.
Cool. Yeah, just gonna do regular attack. That is 7 plus 3 plus 5, 15.
This is not enough, unfortunately. He has an 18 defense, unfortunately. But you're on your foot and your head is clear. You hurt like you've been fucking kicked by a horse, but like we're a bit on the upswing here. Okay, I'll draw another token. Templar. Elias or Esteval.
Elias, you want to go? I was planning on parrying just to keep surviving a little longer.
Yeah.
Well, actually,
you can go. Go ahead.
I can't prepare because I'm stunned, but that'll go away this round. But my ranged attack is pretty good, and his defense is still 8, right?
A defense is 7 because it got lowered by one of the mace strikes. Yeah.
Oh,
because when you attack with your mace, if you successfully
or sorry, is
oh.
his defense meaning the number 2 hits.
Oh, is 18. Yeah.
Oh, it's 18 again. Oh,
18.
Wait, no, he hasn't. Oh no, sorry, he hasn't gone yet. Wait, hold on. Torben attacked. What am I talking about? He was 10. Torben hit. What am I talking about? Because his defense was 10. What am I talking about?
Right. That's why we did this. That's why we did the thing.
Yeah. Wait, hold on. What am I talking about? This is on me. I'm so sorry. His defense was 10. Torben hit on his attack. Torben definitely hit on his attack. We'll get back to that in a moment. We got to resolve him actually doing things. I'm so sorry.
Love all of us being like, Torben really has to go because we finally can hit this guy, and then all of us immediately forgetting about it.
Immediately forgot this was 10. I'm sweating so much right now. So Torben, you actually did land your hit with your mace, I believe.
Yes.
Roll your damage, sir.
3 and 3, 6 plus 6, 12.
12, and it reduces his damage reduction back down another step towards 6.
It does not because I didn't get a 1, but I did get.
My bad.
I did get 2 3s, so a critical.
Did you on the attack on the roll to
No,
hit
sorry,
him?
yeah, I was on the damage.
It's on the roll to hit him. So that's 12. Minus 7 is
5.
Yes, thank you. It's 5. Good to know. This is the second time he's taken damage this whole fight. Okay, so you did hit him. I apologize. That's awesome. Torben is fucking back in it, doing shit. Now we go back to is it Esteval or Elias who's going right now?
I think I'll go ahead and go as well. It doesn't say you can't furious blows with a crossbow. I don't know what exactly that looks like.
It's
I guess like a volley, like just fucking going,
or just ignoring any kind of defensive options.
Yeah.
Just like
it's just like well, it's in that movie, like when you like stand up and like out of cover, you're just like opening fire, like walking. Obviously you don't have the repeatability of a handgun here, but yeah, exactly as you described it. Like you can just like get it like loaded and equipped, and no concern for your own safety. You're just opening, you're just firing bolts at him, with just the intention of like hitting, with no regard to your safety.
Yeah, I think we're gonna go with some furious blows with the crossbow here.
Disadvantage. Well, no, because you were inspired by Elias, so your next test had advantage. So therefore, you actually have it's flat. Flat roll for you, sir.
Awesome. 8 and 2.
10.
Plus 8
is 18, which hits him.
Yeah, I mean, it was if his defense is 10, then the dice do it. But anyways,
oh no, that's right. Yeah, what am I talking about? Yeah,
and then so with the special, is that on the attack roll or on the damage roll?
Sorry, what's the special again?
For crossbow, it's on a 1 or 2 ignore damage reduction.
It's on the damage roll. So if you roll a 1 or 2 on your damage, you'll ignore his damage reduction.
Got it. Cool. Let's find out. Well, it was that is a 6. So it's not a 1 or 2, but my ranged damage is plus 8, so that's 14. Oh wait, no, furious blows.
You roll damage twice and take the highest result.
Cool. So that was 6 on 1 and a 7. So that would be 15. So
Okay.
15.
15, which he takes 8 of that because of his armor. But okay, what does this furious shot look like? That you're now like really turning the tide slowly back against this adversary, and you get a moment. Your leg is broken. Elias threw you your crossbow. What does this look like?
I think Estevao is leaning against one of the walls now at this point, and has like gotten back up on his good foot, catches the crossbow, um, and it might already be loaded with one of the shots, and Estevao just like braces himself against the wall with one arm and just like levels it at this knight. And like in a moment where he and Torben are crossing swords, there's just again a moment of like finding that gap in the armor and just like firing a shot and just like punching through it.
Fuck yeah. All right. Well, there are 2 tokens left in the bag. And thus far, things have Templar. All right. Our last Templar gets to go before he goes.
Before he goes.
Oh, and uncheck your stun, Estevao.
So this time I only have one action, right? I just uncheck it. Okay.
Yeah, you'll uncheck it. But you have one action for this turn.
I mean, since we literally know that he's going and I still have his attention on me.
Still has a fucking 10 to his defense, too, because he has not gone again this turn.
Yeah, he does, but I'm not going to get him down and then he's going to start attacking us again.
What do you want to do?
If I defend someone who did Furious Blow, it doesn't matter, right? Yeah, no matter what, nothing can raise your defense.
Yeah, that's correct.
So, yeah. I will, my goodness. Yeah, I think I will parry, but I'm gonna keep his attention on me. I'll basically like try to do the narrative like taunting him so that he
Oh, hell
keeps
yeah.
fighting me. But I will parry and give the other 2 a chance to either run or do something else. But since we know he's gonna start attacking again, I'm not gonna do it. Yeah, I think we sort of see, like he gets whacked by Torben, the shot of Estevao goes off. I think Elia sort of like as a parry will like sort of get himself in the way, and we see the swords cross as he like leans closer. And again, in perfect French, he will say, "Is this how you die, dog? In the basement of a heretic?"
And now that it's his turn, he sneers back at you and he says, "I have killed more pagans than you have ever slayed your filthy, filthy crusades." And what's he going to do? There's so much happening right now. He is going to attack Elias twice.
Disadvantage.
Yes, it is. That's a 13 on the first one.
Miss.
That's a 17 on the second one.
Hit.
Okay. It's 20 damage.
Oof.
Which even with your reduction.
Oh yeah, I'm out. I only have 7 left.
Well, you're at 0 and you take a condition. Because the only way you can go down in Heirs to Heresy is if you voluntarily, well, you have no other choice, check the dying box, right? But
sure.
But even then,
it's
like
not
someone
on 0. Okay.
All right, so you're stunned now.
Yeah, I think he probably just like slams my head into like the stone head, like in the stone like hallway, just whack. Maybe
Yeah.
almost in like that, like whatever, man, I'm out. Like, like this. I'm imagining like something condescending here to basically be like, don't talk to me like that, that kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm. He's going to that was his first thing. Second thing he's going to do on this first turn, he's going to use a skill. He's going to try and drive you to the ground, and knock you effectively like prone. The way
Oh, it's
it's a
very
contested
sexy of
check,
him.
and again, he doesn't have stats, so I'm just rolling 2d10 plus 3. And it's contested, so we get this counts as the test of what do we think your attribute and skill is. Because to me it could be might or quickness, plus athletics, depending on how you approach it. Like, I don't know, what do you see yourself if he's like trying? I think he like as he's like laying into this attack, he then goes to like drive his shoulder into your midsection to then like launch you off and like throw you into like some like nearby old like boxes or barrels off to the side to like throw you off balance into the ground to send you sprawling. What do you do to counter that?
Yeah, might make sense. I would say awareness to sort of like read his move before he even like gets me. And I'm like, because of my familiarity with the house, I can like sort of make sure that like I'll fall maybe, but not like as badly as he wants me to. Um,
Okay, like so you're oh okay, that's that you argued for it because
like basically I'm
I was gonna,
combat rolling with it. Like I'm gonna let him
exactly.
throw me because I know I'm not strong
That's
enough to stop it. I'm
that's what I was going to
just
ask because I was like, okay, but where does might come into play? It's like your awareness of like how to take the fucking hit and take it well. That's it. I love
Mhm,
that. So might and
exactly.
awareness test here, and he'll just have a 2d10 plus 3.
Okay.
Well, now he rolled a 6 total.
Well, I rolled a 14 plus my might, so 16.
Holy shit, might
And
and
awareness, so yeah,
oh
more than
yeah,
that.
fucking exactly
Yeah.
as you described. It's like it full on like as you're thrown, you go into this like combat roll to like smash through a couple of these like old barrels and some like dust clouds get sent up, but you're able to like momentum get back, grit your teeth through it and like back on your knees like combat ready. And he just fucking looks angry. Um, that was his whole. That was the round. We're back in the bag now. All right. Holy shit. I think I have an inkling that this might be the last round. I'm moving a little quickly here so we can make sure that we don't run over time too much and then have enough time for stars and wishes. So let's see what we get here. Templar, who goes first?
Torben, you want to take it, or do you want me to go?
I can take it.
Go for it.
Take it, Torben. You have both of your actions back.
Yes, I do. I am going to.
Since we forgot about the advantage for Torben last round, can he use it this time? Because you said that both Esteval and
No,
Torben got
he did. No, he
advantage.
did because
No, he
he.
used prepared for advantage, but he shouldn't have done
Oh,
prepared
that's
to get
right.
advantage because he already
Yes.
had advantage.
Thank you
Yeah.
for calling that out, Torben. You have advantage on whatever test you make this turn, if you make a test.
Neat. Yeah, I'm gonna go for.
We're learning the game. We're getting used to it. We're feeling it out.
Yeah,
Session
I'm gonna
3.
go for attack.
Fuck yeah.
Unsurprisingly.
And you have advantage because he didn't parry on his last turn.
Right.
So
With advantage, that is 1, 2, 3. That is 2 9s.
that's a crit. And,
2 9s, yes.
plus, well, you're gonna. I think that's 18. Yeah, that's a critical, and it hits. So you take an advance point, by the way.
First.
Yay! You can only get one per session just because of the way your character's built. That's fine. You got one. You are going to, and this is with your mace. Yeah. So
That is with my mace. So
all right.
2d4 is.
And it is on the damage that the ones come into play here. So yeah, 2d4, and then
And it's a 1 and a 3. So 4 total, but 1 1.
1 into 3, 4 total, plus your melee attribute. which
Yeah,
is
so 6. So 10 total.
10 total, and it reduces his damage reduction by 1 permanently. So that's 10 total. That reduces him down to a 6, which means he take and doubled because you got a critical, so your damage is doubled. So it's 20 damage to him, which 20 minus 6 is 14. Oh my god, this is like a heavy fucking strike to him, and like it fucks up his armor even more. And I'll let you know that enemies, in this game have a morale rating, which means if their stamina hits that value, that or lower, it means that all they want to do at that point is fucking flee combat. He's not there yet, but he's close. How is that reflected in the way he's fighting as you land this first strike? That he is close to being on the back foot and wanting to look for a way out.
There is a crunch as I don't think Torben swings the mace this time. He jams it into his ribs, and there's a crunch, and you see him take a step back, and he's starting to realize this isn't going to be as easy as he thought it was.
All right, your second action, because that was just your attack.
Yeah, I'm going to defend.
Okay, good to know. Back to the bag. There is a real knot in my stomach that is slowly loosening because of how this battle has turned so far. His turn. He's going to do 2 attacks against Torben. He's driving it all home. Actually, I think for this first one, he's going to do 1 on Torben and 1 on Elias. And Elias was parrying or no? No, Elias just rolled and was nearby. So I can't remember if Elias, because you attacked
I was
him.
parrying. Yeah,
You were
yeah.
parrying. Okay, so then gotcha.
Yes.
So he'll disadvantage against you, but this will be flat against Torben. That'll hit Torben. It's not a critical. So Torben, you'll take a condition.
Which one? Stunned again.
All right, and against Elias. You're a 15, right? Is your defense or 16? What's your defense score?
16.
16.
Yes.
He rolled a crit, but it's not enough to land the hit, so it doesn't count. So criticals only count if they hit. Mm-hmm. So he does not hit you. So I think he is clearly like winded and wounded. That crunch sounded out. His armor's looking fucked up. There's blood that's being to soak onto his white tunic across certain parts of him. There's a bit of blood dribbling down his chin as his eyes are now going towards either the tunnel or the stairs, like he's looking for an escape. He is goes to manages to outmaneuver Torben for a moment, and I think maybe like sends an elbow like straight into your solar plexus. So you feel this jolt go through your body. The wind gets knocked out of you. This drive, like pain in your gut. Maybe you just cracked a rib. It's hard to say. But then he goes to drive his weapon towards Elias, and you rolled out of that combat roll quick enough that you're able to I imagine do the fucking cool ass move where it's knock the blade off to the side and then just catch it under your elbow to then or rather under your armpit beneath your armor, just to kind of lock him for a moment and throw him off his balance before that gets released. That is the first of his 2 attacks. I think now he is going to furious blow Elias.
If I'm stunned and I've lost a second action, do I still get my defend?
Yeah, you can still defend. I mean, because you triggered it last time, so it just means that when someone lands the hit, you can just decide, I take it. And let's see, he had disadvantage because you were parrying, and so that is 19 total against Elias. So,
That would hit.
and he will, yeah, it will hit.
I'll take it.
Okay, what does that look like?
So he's doing furious blows.
Well,
I
and it
think,
means his defense is now 10.
yeah, I think that Torben just kind of sticks himself between Elias and the knight and just lets the blows rain down on him.
Yeah. Which condition are you taking?
I'm gonna take a broken limb this time.
What gets broken?
Oh wait, no. We might need to chase him down. Uh, oh fuck. Yeah, okay. Broken limb. That's it. Um, I think the first blow hits Torben's elbow and it just crumples inward.
Oh, yeah, that crunch of bone. Um, and by the way, you'll notice that these things like broken bones require a healing test, difficulty of 12 to uncheck. That is a thing you can do during combat of like rush to like do like you can do a healing test on someone by using a skill to get them to uncheck their condition. Yeah, exactly. She has like just grab his arm and fucking just like lock it into position or do some kind of like battle medicine to get them able. So something to keep in mind. Okay, cool. Back to the bag. It's his turn again. His defense was 10. It's back normal. But you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to have him do a Esteval, remind me, are you still in the same zone as him? Or did you move? Were you in the far zone?
I'm still in the same zone. I haven't had a chance to move yet.
Then I think after he, is able to like, this momentary thing is seized with Esteval, I think he's going to charge, or with Torben and Elias, I think he's going to charge Esteval with a furious blow. So he has this as flat. And that is a 20.
No, I'm in the same zone, so I don't think he needs disadvantage. I don't think he needs to move.
No, he's not moving. That's what I said. It's just a furious blow.
Yeah.
That is a hit. It's 22 to hit you. Now, here's the thing, is that anyone who's defending can still take this. So Torben could take it again if you don't want Esteval to get hit.
I'll take it.
Okay. Are you going to mark bleeding or stunned and just go down?
Let's stunned.
Okay.
I'd go down immediately at my next turn anyway, so.
Yeah, so go ahead and roll 2d6.
That's a 9.
Okay. So you're going to get the fucking lights knocked out of you. And so go ahead and narrate what that looks like as he's, going in to attack Esteval. Torben, not letting any of his companions get hurt any further, throws himself into harm's way.
I think it's that simple. Torben kind of stubbornly holding his arm, he kind of rises to try and attack or interpose himself again, and he just gets clubbed in the side of the head and is gone.
Yeah, just full goes down like a sack of bricks, hits the ground, dust gets kicked up. The effort in this knight's shoulders is really beginning to sag and weigh him down. He's breathing hard, and he like wipes a bit of blood from his shin. He just like, "You Templars think you're so holy and chosen." And for his second action, he is going to lumber forward towards Esteval still. And Torben goes down, he levels his blade at you and he says, "You don't deserve to be God's army." And he's going to attack you twice.
My defense is still 10.
That first one is a hit. Mark a condition.
Sure. Stunned.
You go down.
No, that was first stunned.
That's first stunned. Second attack. There's another hit. Mark a second condition.
Yeah, I think it's got to be the second stunned. I'm going.
Okay.
I'm down as well. Actually, no. You know what? Well, no. That's dying is start of turn. You die.
Now keep in mind that if you mark bleeding, you take 2 damage at the start of your turn, which in the case because you're at 0 stamina would immediately make you mark a condition. The thing is, though, if someone goes before you, and Elias in this case, and does the healing test against you, you get to unmark the condition. And so keep that in mind. Just things that like maybe you want to strategically mark. I don't know. It's a gamble, but yeah.
Yeah, that would almost better be spent on doing damage and trying to like wrap this combat up. Oh boy. Sure, I'll take bleeding. Why not? So
Okay.
I'm still up, but I'll be down at the start of my turn.
I think he drives his blade through like your shoulder. Like and just like blood just begins to soak across under your armor and against your skin, hot, and the pain is intense. And now there are only Templars left in this bag. So Elias first or Esteval? Because if Esteval goes, he must immediately mark a second condition.
I guess it makes sense for me to go first then. I want to just check in because
Sure.
I can try to do the healing test, but I personally think that this fight has been like so brutal and cool. I kind of don't want this to be like a one-off villain. I think it would be cool if we just lose and get our ass kicked here. And Elia instead just sees Torben goes down, sees Esteval, like broken leg, really, really bad shape, and he's just gonna. I want to do then a skill check, and I want to basically sprint, grab Torben, shout at Esteval, and just go into that secret passageway and close it behind us, and leave that knight where he is, but get us safe. Just go, just book it. But I just want to make sure because I also understand if we're like now we've been in this combat for so long, we want to see this guy go down. So I want to check what we feel is a good story beat.
Having him show up again later could be a lot of fun.
I'm into it personally, but Kevin, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I certainly, would love to see this guy become a recurring villain. I think the mechanics of getting us there are a little
Would it be a skill? Could it be allowed in a skill check? Because I
It
would say move, but I want to, I guess, grab Torben, which would make it a skill check to see if I can get there.
yes, it would require a
But I
skill
think
check.
narratively, with me also being thrown down the stairs, like we have fully moved into this space, right? I
Yeah,
think.
it's just that we have not transitioned in technically we're in the zone that's around the front of the cellar, whereas like the back of the cellar where the door is. I love your idea. It's just mechanically, here's exactly what this would look like. Is I think moving Torben specifically is a test because Torben is big and heavy. The other
And I will
issue
see if
is that
Esteval can maybe.
Esteval is currently bleeding out. And because he has a broken leg, it
it would
means
it
it
would
takes
take
him
two.
2 actions to move zones. So like, and he can't
Mm.
take 2 actions to move zones in concurrently. So you unfortunately have a bit of a choice here. Do you would be able to, with your turn here, get one of them through the door because it's either you either help Torben because he's heavy, And because he's fully unconscious, that's a basic test, right? That is like to drag him. If you help Esteval, because he's still awake and able to move, though he's stunned and has a broken leg and he's bleeding out, it's possible. I will not have that necessarily be a test, right? So, or you can call for a test if you think it makes more sense for there to be a test there. But either way, where the state of things are at in this turn, you can't get both of them.
Okay, then I want to, because one of our things that we get sin points from is leaving a Templar. So I just want to check because
Leaving
that's
them
not what
behind,
Elia wants to be doing.
Sure,
Like
exactly.
It's if you leave them behind, there's like a not a loophole, but there's a clause in there that's like you're not supposed to die fighting for them. It's you.
Yeah, but like
done
leaving
everything you
you
can.
now, I feel like that would be against the spirit of the thing. So I guess then, yeah, I think I will get Torben because obviously he's the worst. But I think that what I will do is basically get Torben there, and Elia will stay in the scene to help Esteval for as long as he can, basically.
So what you'll do is we'll do a test. You're gonna move, and you're using a skill to get Torben. Drag
I can
him.
only do one action because I'm stunned.
Oh, well then you're not going to be able to then because
It's to the death, baby. Let's go.
Well,
Okay.
or if he flees, right? Like, or if he flees, because then he'll. So yeah, because you only have one action, you need to be able to move zones, and because dragging Torben specifically is a test, because I think he's fully unconscious and massive.
Okay.
It's use a skill, like because there's a test involved.
Okay, in that case, can I use the skill Courage Insight to get a read on this guy and basically either his ego or his belief or whatever, but basically convince him or basically convince him to leave. Be like,
Interesting.
listen, we can all fight here to the death, or you can skitter back to whatever it is that you're doing. Like I don't know like what words he would use, but basically either persuade or insight, but see if I can just get him to leave without killing us.
Interesting. I like what you're saying. I'm going to let you know right now. This is just knowing what I know about what these guys, these knights specifically. Yeah. This is going to be. This is going to be difficult, which means
I won't be able to hit him. I won't be able to hit him.
No. So this is going to be difficult, which means you need a 21 or higher. I think convinced that knowing what I know about these knights and what their ethos is.
He furious blowed. He used furious blows, right?
So his defense is 10, just so you know.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I guess then I'll just kill him.
Okay.
Or I'll try to hit him, I guess. I'm not sure if I can kill him.
You just need to hit a 10 then.
Okay.
10's a lot easier to hit than 21.
Well, my extras would be a lot better. But yeah, let's see.
And if we get him to his morale, then he hex off anyways.
He does.
Well, I missed, so.
What'd you roll?
Double 2 for a 4 plus 3 is a 7. So.
Unfortunate.
Oh boy.
I don't want to end right at this exact second, unless we absolutely have to, because I know we're running over a little bit. And I want to give everyone enough time. So if everyone's good, I'm going to draw from this bag, and we can make this fast. Okay, gotcha. Torben is down. And Elias, by the way, you can unchuck stunned because you did your turn. If Esteval goes, Esteval is either going to be unconscious or dying because he's bleeding and he needs medical attention very badly. If Elias goes right now, Elias gets both of his actions because he's. Yeah.
Can I go again?
This is a new round.
Oh, I haven't moved this round.
Yeah, so
wait, what? The bag was empty. The bag was empty. Sorry, then this is.
And
this is
it is
Esteval. I
Esteval because
apologize.
that was why I went first this time.
I
That was
apologize. I don't know what happened. My bag was empty. Then Esteval, it is your go.
So
So
if I check dying, do I still get one action?
yes,
Cool.
because dying doesn't take you out. And you can use that one action to self heal on something, either it's bleeding or a healing test. Either way, because you marked stunned a moment ago, right? Like when
I marked stunned on the last attack. Well, I marked no, I didn't mark stunned.
Oh,
I marked
then it's stunned unmarked now because
it'll be marked like sorry, I marked bleeding. And stunned got marked at some point. But like if I take an action at the start of this turn,
then you'll uncheck it.
Yeah.
So what do you want to do?
Well, I have to take
A condition. Either you slip into unconsciousness by marking stunned again, or you're beginning to die.
I'm dying. Let's go.
You're dying.
And I have one action, and it's going to be furious blows with the crossbow.
Okay. Go ahead and roll to attack.
And it's just flat roll, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Because I don't have advantage. He didn't parry. So
no, it's flat.
Cool. 8 and 2 makes 10 plus 8, 18.
It's exactly what you needed. So
roll the damage. He had furious blows, so it was 10 if I remember correctly.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's because it hasn't been his turn yet. Yeah.
Yeah, furious blows, so I roll twice for damage.
Yep.
1 and 5. 1 is better because it ignores damage reduction. So it would be plus 8 is 9, ignores damage reduction.
That drives him past his morale threshold. I would like it, which means he is going when I draw a token for him, that means his thing is he's going to try and flee. But I want you to tell me right now, like he punctured something vital, maybe in the clavicle. You're bleeding heavily. You're starting to go cold. Your vision's going a little blurry. You have a clear shot as he's engaged with Elias. This is like go ahead and just describe what you do to him, that like what is this injury drive to him that is just like it's fully going to be him like, all right, now I gotta flee, now I gotta go, this battle is being lost. It's going to force him to retreat.
I was going to go for an ear, but I like eye better. All right, if the people want eyes, then
no.
Yeah.
I love the idea of a bolt going through his eye and not killing him, just getting fucking stuck in like the bone, and just like him like, oh, that's so fucked up.
Not to get like super scientific, but if it was a crossbow, it's gonna go through. So I think it's at an angle, so it goes like through the eye and then like out, like, or like it might not even like get embedded in like the way you think an arrow would. I think it actually just kind of like goes across his eye. I don't want to get too gory into details, but yeah, so I don't think it gets stuck in, but I definitely think like his eye is it's not there anymore. And we just see like, camera cuts to just this like spray of red against the Beaumain walls.
Okay, so before we close things out here, the reason I'm drawing from the bag is because if I draw him, he's fleeing. Like that's like that he passes morale threshold. But also keep in mind that now Esteval is on a clock right now to see because if he doesn't get help, he dies. So come on. That is him. So he is going to run away. He, with this wound that's dealt to him, blood streaming down his face, he stumbles back. I think he even like like drops his blade, it clatters to the stones and like it just clangs off the air. He is heaving, and just turns up and begins to book it as he's retreating. Elias, you have effectively, I'm going to count this in the sense of initiative, of like using skills, because the reason why is that effectively you can double actions. We've always established you can do the actions twice. You have 2 chances to prevent Esteval from dying. He is lying on the ground. I think we see that maybe Esteval, like after you take that shot, like you just like slump and you're going lightheaded. You can see that there's a lot of blood coming out of his shoulder wound. This is a healing test. So the healing skill is required. However, whatever attribute you think makes sense, you can argue for to add on top of that. And I will note, Esteval has a +2 in healing, which means he can probably aid. Even though he's dying, there's nothing that says that he can't aid. Because we're not in the rigid, I think aiding still makes sense. Because it would be rigid and dumb if it didn't. So what does Elias do as he sees Esteval bleeding out on the floor?
He kneels down, takes the Holy Grail, fills it with Esteval's blood, and pours it over. Because this was the blood of Christ, and it will save the faithful. Let's try.
I think this needs to be faith plus
healing.
I'll tell you right now.
I mean, I'm also gonna like dress the wound. I'm not stupid.
Sure. I want to be clear about this. There are explicit mechanics for how the Grail works. And I'm not going to explain what they are right now because you don't know them. This is not one of them. However,
you got to drink it probably.
No. We'll talk about it later. However, I like where your head's at. And I still think that the faith and healing makes sense, right? Because even if you do that, I'll tell you, the player, mechanically that does nothing. However,
but Elias,
it's like, it does. And you also already said that you're doing additional things, so it might be like the faith of it that's guiding his hand, and like the ritualistic aspect. You don't know. There's a degree of uncertainty. This is how we get vampires, exactly.
I'm not letting you drink it. I'm pouring it over.
So, faith and healing, Esteval, you are able to aid because you have healing +2 if you so desire. Do you want to either give him advantage or add your healing total, which is +2 to the result, or give him a reroll?
I'll give advantage.
Okay. Go ahead and roll.
First time. With advantage, that is 12 plus all my stuff.
You hit it.
Okay.
It was a 12.
Okay, yeah.
It's actually 14 because it's my max. It's my max health, isn't it?
No, I mean like the difficulty.
Difficulty equals your maximum health. That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
But that does.
I still hit that because I get 12 plus 3 from faith, plus 2 from healing, so +5. 17.
Okay, yeah, no, you don't get Esteval's +2, but you do get
my own +2.
Okay,
from healing.
Gotcha. Then yeah, you're good. All right, and I think as you go to like you take out this clay cup, you like dip it in his blood, and like as it coats the inside, catching the light in a queer way, you spill, you're spilling it back over, and you're trying to like aid him. How does Esteval aid? What does that look like in this scene to like help guide Elias in this way?
I feel like if we're moving back into narrative time a little bit, then like I can see Elia getting Esteval like laid down and Esteval is like halfway delirious at this point, um, but still like managing to be like uh uh trying to put like pressure on the wound. Um, and yeah, I guess we need to get it like bandaged or sutured or wrapped or something. But there's a moment where Elia's hand, like both of them are putting pressure on the wound, and Estevao kind of looks up at Elia and goes, "Are you trying to hold my hand?"
Yeah, and I think Elia has just like, sort of done that slide on his knees, taken the cup, and he's just praying, to the kingdom of heaven to save his friend. And I think now, as good as he's done not crying, there are like definitely now like some manly tears slipping past, like his eyelashes, seeing both his friends dying. And he's like putting his hand on Estevao's as he's like putting pressure, and he gives him like a small smile, and he says, "Yes, so don't let go." And I think he will lean down and do like that Aragorn kissing Boromir on the forehead thing, where it's like romantic but also brotherly. And then like do the probably as you pass out, help you. And then start dragging his friends to that fucking secret passageway, I guess.
I think that is a lovely place for us to bring our session to a close on as a point of bookkeeping. At the end of a fight, everyone heals 1d4 plus their vitality and their stamina immediately. So like you get up a little bit as you have to drag Torben, get him into the hole, but he'll wake up eventually. But you do get some of your stamina health back. So you can roll a d4 and add your vitality. And because we're over time, if we can do a quick stars and wishes, if you have time to stay for them, I'll go ahead and just throw mine out there real fast to say that, again, lovely session. I had the idea, I wasn't sure, if it was going to happen, but I was like, okay, I want to give you guys like a tough foe. I want to give you guys like an enemy knight. I want to, because we just carved through things like tissue paper last time. I wanted to see how things sat. And now this in part because I wanted to get a feel for like what is a difficult fight on mechanically what the stats look like versus what is an easier fight. Now I have a better idea for that. But still, I loved the way I loved everyone's narrative today. I love that moment there at the end between Elias and Estevao. I love a Boromir kiss. I love Torben and Estevao sort of like buddy copping in the cellar there, just like looking for secret doors. Love the flashbacks from the Bowman's household, and I love that immediately. This is a player star, Jazzy, of you stepping back to be like, can we let this guy be a recurring villain? Can we like do everything in our power to make sure that he comes back? I thought that was really cool because it was fun to step back and just be like, let's negotiate to see how we can make that happen. Because I don't want to pull my punches in the tough adversaries, but I'm like, narratively, if it's more interesting, I'm like, cool, let's see how we get there. So my wishes is to that next session, you guys get the fuck out of Paris and into the countryside because things are bad for you. And also, yeah, I don't know. My wishes is I'm interested to see us have combat that is not a complete steamroll of our Templars again. But I guess we'll see.
Real quick, that moment, holding Estevao's hand and saying "Don't let go," that was cute. The I really enjoyed the eye patch night, obviously, and I'm looking forward to him coming back. And just going for the marking dying, brave choice. I liked Estevao's. I liked you trying to do the furious blows with a crossbow. Not sure what that looks like, but I like just rapidly pulling out bolts and firing them. That's a good image. That was fun. Combat was not great for us, and I am absolutely looking forward to how the three of our characters deal with getting so thoroughly trounced by one dude.
Yeah, I'm really bad at doing quick starts and wishes, but I can do it. Echoing everything that's already been said, I also want to call out for Alex that start scene with Dimole. That was really cool and really set the tone that there's like this dark conspiracy going on, and that led nicely into this night being there. Um, yeah, Ben, I loved Torben finally sort of being in his element, and you rolling with the punches when the dice were like, I don't think so. I also love just the image of Torben getting up and just immediately fucking attacking again. Like that's terrifying. What a beast. I thought just all your descriptions were really cool for that. Kevin, yeah, I loved Estevao just being like, nah, this dude needs to die. Just fully. And then Delirious Estevao being a little gay is absolutely fantastic. And General Stars, we've sort of had two sessions that I think is interesting where it seems like Elia is kind of like out of the group a little, or we have these two that have like very different opinions, but then at the end they always find a way back. And I think that's really interesting and sort of also a wish. Like I want to see sort of like I guess the dynamic of these different opinions, but still being like these tried and tested brothers in arms and like still being there for each other at the end without like questioning. And yeah, I am really excited to get to maybe some traveling. Like that's something that an aesthetic and a vibe that I really love in like these fantasy games. So I really kind of want to see how the game deals with that and like what kind of fun stories that we can make with that.
One quick thing I'll throw in there, by the way, just as a reminder, because next session is our fourth session, that means you all get a gift, which is a new ability. So I will point everyone to the list of gifts that everyone can take. So you get, and it feels like getting fucking trounced by this guy, getting your asses kicked, and then managing to escape by the skin of your teeth. You guys, it's an earned advance. It's an earned victory.
Yeah, stars. I actually really like that we got our asses kicked, because like when you make a character and it's like, oh, you have a bunch of scars, you're like, oh, I could tell cool stories with these scars, but like we live this one. We know this dude now. Like when we have the scars from this fight, this is something that like we can go back and you know, this is our shared experience. And that's really fun. So yeah, just kind of a general start in that direction. Yeah, I liked the little moments of Torben and Esteval in the basement. Just like yeah, buddy copping is the best way to put it. The two have such a fun dynamic. Whereas when Elia and Torben are fighting, it's really funny to watch them be like, oh my god, why are mom and dad fighting? Um, and Esteval was, you know, sitting back being kind of quiet during that fight, but it's fun to have those dynamics between these three characters. I think it might have been interesting if Esteval had died this early, but you know, I'm glad he gets to stick around for a little bit while longer, especially as other as like the Holy Grail was part of his healing, so that's going to be interesting. Elia being forced into I think it's always interesting when characters are organically forced into things that are maybe slightly outside their wheelhouse. So Elia being forced to do a little bit of healing was interesting to see, and jumping into that was really fun and unique. I hope to see more of that. And wishes, yeah, I know there are journey rules in this game, so you know, just kind of echoing everybody else, getting to see the journey rules is going to be, I think, really fun, and yeah, getting us out of Paris and into the countryside. Really looking forward to that. That's what I got.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the journey being kickstarted. Was that everyone? Perfect. Well, thank you guys for staying a little bit over, and that will bring our session this week to a close.